welcome to the crafting class today. We're going to be making some ephemera for the Christmas junk journal. I hope that you guys had a great Thanksgiving holiday if you celebrated. And I hope that you guys didn't shop yourselves out yesterday for Black Friday. Today we are going to be making ephemera for the Christmas junk journal series. This is the third video in that series. We have 4 videos and then this journal should be finished. So in today's video, we'll be focusing on pockets and tucks, tags, journal cards, all the little things that we need to put into the journal to finish it off. And then the 4th video is actually more of the final embellishing. We'll decorate the front cover of the journal. If you haven't already, some of you jump ahead and you do whatever you want to do, which is great. I love the creativity in this group. So in the 4th video, we'll be focusing on the front cover. We'll be focusing on doing the bead dangles, the beads on the signature strings, embellishing on all the pages, which a lot of people consider a journal finished as soon as it has ephemera in it. I would encourage you to go a little bit further than that with the journal before you call it done. So the 4th video really focuses on that. And then today's video, really, you should have all your pockets done and glued in and full of ephemera. So we really are near the finish line. And if you've been following along, I have already made some ephemera ahead of time. Those ephemera pieces were either made here live with you in the first crafting live, or they were made in the 365 journal series. The 365 journal series, I think there is probably 5 videos where I made Christmas junk journal ephemera. You should be able to see from the thumbnails if you go to the channel, the Inked Paper Art YouTube channel, you should be able to look at the thumbnails in the 365 series. And if it looks Christmassy, then that's the Christmas ephemera I made for this journal. Hello, guys. Hello and welcome. As you can tell, I am still struggling with being sick. I did not have Thanksgiving with my family because I was sick. I missed entire Thanksgiving, missed Black Friday, missed everything. So I really debated on whether or not I was going to be able to get up and do this morning. So all I can say is I'm going to do my best to get through it. Hopefully it will be good enough content and you guys will not be disappointed. Again, we're going to focus on ephemera, which will allow me to sit down and, just make some pockets and things. We'll have to see how much we have already made because quite a bit of it is already made. So we'll count. We'll talk about the formula, the magical formula of ephemera for journals. I have a magic formula that equals a balanced journal where it has a certain number of pockets and things like that in it. I'll show you where to place your pockets. This is my formula. This isn't to say that this is the rule or, whatever, but this is a formula that works really well for me. In making all the journals I've made in the past, I've kind of, just kind of found a really good system because sometimes if you make the ephemera, and you start putting it in just kind of willy-nilly, you will find that one section of your journal might be fuller than the other. You might find where the front half, because we usually begin working in the front, has more pockets than the back half. So if you follow this formula, it's really a great formula for balancing out the junk journal signature with ephemera so that you don't end up with places where you have a bunch of pages that have no pockets or tucks or anything like that. Anyway, it's a good system. It'll make sense when I show it to you, but it is terrible to be sick on holidays. But obviously, I have a 3-month-old grandson and I was not about to give him his first cold or flu or whatever this is. So we just skipped Thanksgiving. I have a defrosted turkey in the fridge that will be going into the garbage soon. Unfortunately, it's just not possible to make it. And, it is what it is. So we're gonna continue to work through it. It's the first Thanksgiving I have missed probably in all of my adult life. It was just really hard, but I spent most of that day in bed, and then yesterday was the worst day, and I've spent all day in bed, and today I'm just going to try to get through it and see how it goes. Thank you guys for your patience, and I do apologize for missing the mini journal class. The mini journal class is making a mini journal out of a greeting card. And for those of you who are still waiting for that, we will do that here in the near future. Before the end of the year, we will do that class. And it's a free class again. It's just making a mini journal out of a greeting card. Still on the to-do list, but unfortunately that was last Tuesday and I was not able to do it on Tuesday. So we're just going to do our best today. I can't guarantee you amazing content, but I can guarantee you that I will try my hardest. Okay, so for those of you that celebrated, hopefully that you had a good Thanksgiving with your family. And, you know, maybe you don't celebrate Thanksgiving as like a traditional Thanksgiving Pilgrim and Indian kind of holiday, but maybe you celebrate it as more of a gratitude, you know, thankful family holiday, that kind of thing. Just another good holiday to get together, enjoy a good meal. And maybe you did it with friends, maybe you did it with family, whoever you celebrated it with, and whatever way your celebration was, I hope that was a good one. Some of you spent Thanksgiving in your craft room. And for those of you that got to do that, I am a little jealous. It's really hard for me just to like lay around and do nothing. And I really wanted to be like, okay, well, if you can't do this, then go in your craft room and craft. I could not do it. So for those of you that got to do that on Thanksgiving, whether you just live too far away from your family or maybe you don't have family or friends or something that you could get together with, maybe you spent the day in your craft room, which is a great way to spend Thanksgiving holiday, Black Friday. If you weren't out shopping, at least you got to spend it doing something else that you love. So that's all good too. The point of it is to spend the day doing something that makes you happy. It'll be fine. For me, it's a combination of a couple of things. It's a combination of starting that new medication, which weakens your immune system. And so where I had not really been, you know, sick like this for probably 5 or 6 years since the beginning of COVID. It's just the fact that you take that medication and it weakens your immune system. And so it takes it from overactive and too high to extremely low, and you're just more susceptible to germs, right? And it takes a while to kind of, for that to level out. So that's really all it is. I'll be fine. We'll be fine. So anyway, enough about that. There's only 46 of you here, and I figured today might be a little bit less watched because people have family in town. There's still Black Friday shop small Saturday going on. So there's still a lot of things. People might be exhausted from the holiday, that kind of thing. So we're just going to do this video. And if people miss this video, it will be a video. If they miss the live, it will be a video on my channel where you guys can rewatch it or watch it later. My brain doesn't work either. It's super foggy. So anyway, if you are rewatching and this is no longer live, feel free to fast forward me through all the chit chat. For those of you that joined me live, unfortunately, you have to suffer through the chit chat. Okay, so I'm going to flip the camera down and we're going to get started. My nose is running already. Yay! There we go. All right, so you guys, if you have been following along, you should have a journal that looks like this. Let me move these papers out of the way. You should have a journal. I have 3, but you should have a journal that looks like this. You should have your cover done. It's not fully decorated, but your cover construction is done. Your signature is sewn in. I did a 5-hole pamphlet stitch signature for mine. I sewed around my covers. They're not perfect, but no junk journaling is. So you should have a journal that looks like this. You should have all of your pages sewn into your journal. And you should be at this stage. And I say should be, but if you're following along with the classes and you've done all the work up until, the point of the next class, you should have a signature sewn into your journal. And I really love the way that this signature came out using the digitals from Uniquely Ella and Ruby and Pearl. That's where I think almost all, if not all of the digitals came from. And then of course we sewed in our little extras. We used things out of the kit. So this is where you should be if you've been following along. In today's class, we're going to set aside these journals for a moment. And where am I going to set them? Let's set them over there. We're going to focus on ephemera making. And in this bucket, I have all of my pre-made ephemera. So here is where I am with ephemera. Now, I will tell you to the best of my knowledge where these ephemera pieces were made. In the very first video class of this series, we made a masterboard. And I have some undecorated masterboard pieces left over. And so that's what these are. And these we're going to turn into tags or pockets or tucks or whatever, journal cards, whatever we need. So if you haven't made a masterboard, that's where you want to start today. If you have not made a masterboard, you want to start by making a masterboard today. And to make a masterboard, you're going to pull out all of your neutral book pages, music paper, some handwritten, some ledger, all of that kind of stuff. Pull out your neutral stuff and then pick one or two color pieces to add. Obviously for Christmas, most of us will add red or green. If you're doing pastel Christmas or something else entirely different, you choose the colors that you would like. But I encourage you to choose mostly neutral and then two colors just to add those little pieces to your masterboard. So we're going to work on this, but we already have some pieces that are fully decorated because again, if you want to see how I made the masterboard and the masterboard ephemera, that is the first video in this series. So you'll see it's video number 1 and it's how to construct your cover. But in that cover construction video, we also made a masterboard. And so we have some more undecorated masterboard. I think I made 2 of them during that session. These are pockets made out of envelopes, and I made those in a 365 video. So if you watch on the 365 series, you'll look for the thumbnail that has these envelope pockets. So those are done. And again, I have 3 of everything because I have 3 journals, because I'm making 3 journals at one time. So you don't need to make 3. You really just need to make 1 of each thing if you want to make what I'm making. You're encouraged to do your own thing, of course, too. But anyway, so I have 3 of those. So we have 1 pocket, right? That's 1 pocket. Then I have 3 of these large tags. Again, this was a 365 video. They're super large tags. The ladies came from the ephemera sheet that I gave you in your journal kit. If you didn't buy a journal kit, these are French fashion ladies from one of the French fashion magazines. The magazines are available in my Etsy shop, or you could purchase them at a live sale. Many of you have. But anyway, if you're needing the fashion ladies, they're from French fashion magazines in Etsy, or you got a sheet of them in your kit. So these are 3 4x8 tags. Then next was these book page pockets. These were super simple little pockets. I have a neutral one, which I'll just save for another journal. But for these 3 journals, they're super simple little book page pockets. And they have a pocket right here. So you fold over the book page. You're going to glue 2 book pages together. One will be upside down. And then you create a little pocket, put some little sari silk or seam binding or whatever. I just did a little Tim Holtz embellishment. This will get glued on a page and we'll put a big tag back there. But it does have a little fold up pocket here in the front. So that's those. And I'll try to show you guys these. Again, this is 365 video. You can find it by looking at the thumbnail picture. Next, we have these pieces. And so these were made from vintage music cards, and the music cards are available on Etsy also. But I just made cute little pockets. There is actually little white doily back there. I don't know if it will show for you, but cute little, they're index card size 3x5 pockets. And I just used the music card is what is there existing. And then I just added a tiny little bit of white doily and a little cutout. And there you go. So there's 3 pockets like that. And I made 3 cards. I will not put these cards in those pockets, but they can go in another place in the journal. So these are journaling cards. And so there's those. Now we get into the napkin decoupage. Again, these music cards were made in a 365 video. Just look for the thumbnail and you'll find them. One of the last few videos I've made for 365. And then we get into napkin decoupage. These are some of the large tags that were made from napkin decoupage. If you look in your kit, if you purchased a kit, you can find these napkins. And this is just 3 panels, and you get 6 panels in your napkin. And they just have gold Nouveau paste around the edges of them. So anyway, there's 3 large tags that like that. We also did 2 of the that has book page behind it, and 2 of the big poinsettia. And I'm going to make these into tuck pockets. And then we did these 3 little guys. And this one has a holly napkin that is not in your kit, but it was in my stash. So holly napkin in the background on some alteration tags. So all of this is 365 videos. You can see all of it by clicking in the 365 playlist. Now these were some little journal cards that I did over top of library cards. And there's 3 that are the same like that. And then we did some pockets. And the napkin decoupage part is the little bird right here. Again, if you got a kit, you have all of these napkins in the kit except for the holly one. But the little birds are just taken out of the napkin. So napkin decoupage, that was that video. Then we did, this is the embossing. So I did a video, old school technique, that a lot of junk journalers don't use anymore, but you know, we probably have the supplies tucked away in our craft room. So embossing, I did some doily stamps and embossed them with gold and red. This is a large Christmas tree from a Tim Holtz stamp set that I embossed in green. There's the doilies in red, and I made these into little tags. So there's the set of tags for those. I did a key. I did the little tag that comes in your junk journal kit, and I did it in snowflake. So it looks like snow. And so I've got 3 sets of those. 3 sets of all of that. Sometimes I did the keys in white. Sometimes I changed up what I did, but you get the gist of it. So that's embossing. That's a 365 video. Next we have these. These were masterboard ephemera that I made in the very first video. So I decorated these and made the masterboard in the first video of this series. And the video is called, under the live section of my channel, it's called How to Construct a Christmas Junk Journal Cover or something like that. And in that video, we made the cover for the junk journal, but we also made a masterboard, and these are just decorated pieces from that. And so we decorated those. We made this little pocket. This is a piece of ephemera you get in your junk journal kit. These are all decorated with ephemera from the junk journal kit. And again, it's all masterboard. A little pocket, and a little tag. So that's what I have so far. So I have a pile, but again, it's for 3 journals. So it looks like a lot, but it's not really a lot. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to make more pockets, and I want to make more tags, and I want to make more journal cards, which is basically what this video is about. So let's set this to the side. I have a bunch of, here's another little tag. Oh, and here's another little pocket that we did last time. We had a couple minutes last video, and we did this little pocket out of the time card. So it's folded up right here. It was just a quick little pocket. So there's that. Okay, moving on to actually making something. You saw that I had this bundle of strings. This was from when I shredded my red and white ticking fabric, and I'm going to save that and put that underneath a label or an embellishment in the junk journal. So I have that. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry for all of you guys who are sick with me. Unfortunately, enough people in the world do not stay home when they're sick, and now we're all sick. If you're sick, you need to stay home, people. That's all I need to tell you. Oh my gosh. It amazes me that more people do not understand that. Like, if you're sick, that's not the time you go in the drive-through line to get a coffee and then make the drive-through girl sick. If you're sick, that's not the time to go to work and make all your coworkers sick. uh, anyway, let's make some things. Actually, I need to take my sweatshirt off. I will be freezing in a moment, but right now I'm too hot. So bear with me while I take my sweatshirt off. Thank you guys for participating in this hodgepodge of a video today. But we're going to make some pockets. And we have some bits in the kit that I want to work with as far as making ephemera. Let me get rid of my jacket somewhere. There's no space in this room. Okay, so in your kit, we have some bases of pockets and tags and things like that. And that's kind of where I want to start today. So here is some of the bits that came in your kit. And I've gone over the kit before, and if you're wondering, there are still kits available. I know many of you have reached out to me in the last week with questions or comments or concerns or something like that. Please bear with me. I will be answering all outstanding queries on Monday. If I can get to it before that, I will. But if you guys just bear with me, I am behind in Facebook. I am behind in emails, or not emails, text messages. I'm behind in everything. If you guys just bear with me, I will get to you guys on Monday. Let's go ahead and look at these. These are the little tags that came in your junk journal kit. Everybody got a different one of these, so it's not going to be this exact one, but something very similar. And this is just a little tag. It has a little hole there. You can embellish it, or you can just leave it as is. You can tuck it in a pocket, or I think what would be really cute is if we took this guy and we kind of tied him at the top with some ribbon so that he's like another little tag on top of a tag. Maybe that's too big, but something like this where you've got this little tag that you can rotate to the side. I think it's just cute to add a tag to another tag. So you can just leave him as is, or you can put him on another tag. He can be journaled on the back of. You could just tuck it in a pocket. You could also use it to decorate a pocket if you wanted. But there's that guy. This is the one where I already did the embossing on the bottom with Snowfall embossing powder. So that's what I did with this guy. Everybody got a Christmas tree one. It's ivory, so you don't really have to do anything to it. You can embellish it. But honestly, on most of these, just a cute little seam binding, piece. A cute little seam binding piece on the top will do enough embellishing to these little guys. And I think that is fine to just leave them plain and do a little embellishing. This little guy is super cute. And any of these kind of tags, you could use your Tim Holtz tiny attacher, and you could just attach it onto the edge of a page. Just staple it right here on the edge of a page in your journal, on the edge of another tag or something like that. And then it becomes a little tuck itself, and it will hold another piece of ephemera. So just stapling one of these in is fine too. Specifically this guy, because he doesn't have a hole at the top of him. So you could just put him on the side of a page, and then you could tuck in a tag. So they will work either way. There's that guy, and a Christmas tree one. The Christmas tree one, I think I would probably do a little embellishing on, but that's me. You don't have to. So there's those little tags that you guys got. Again, leave them alone. Use them as tucks by stapling them. Add them to other pieces of ephemera. Whatever you guys choose to do there, though, that it'll all work. Next thing that you guys got, and this is really where I want to start today. Everyone got a coin envelope. In a coin envelope, so don't be confused in your kit. You also got, everyone got a red and a green envelope. It's a number 10 business envelope, and you got both. You got one red and you got one green. And so the number 10 envelopes open, the long side opens, right? Like this. So the coin envelope is not this. The coin envelope, you either got a red or a green, one or the other, and it opens on the short side at the top. And so that's the coin envelope. And that one we're going to turn into a pocket. And you also got a tag that fits in this coin envelope. And so this is where I would like to start today. I would like to make this pocket and tag combination. Okay, so this guy can be added to the edge of a page. Let me see if I have a journal page, because a lot of this probably will make more sense if I show you on a journal page. So here's a page that we can pretend was a journal page. It's not, but we can pretend it's a journal page, right? So this is a journal page in your journal. You're going to take this guy and you're going to glue him. You're going to glue him down the side and across the bottom. And he's going to have this tag inside of him here. But that also creates a tuck pocket back here behind him because you're only gluing on two sides. And that allows you to make another tuck pocket. So this guy will be one pocket in our journal. Okay, so we're going to set that to the side and we will make it. The next thing that I want to do today, if I can make it through, is this little glassine bag. And there was a little tag for him. I probably already used it, but I will grab another one. Let me see if I can find it quick. Yes, right here. This tag. You got 3 different tags like this. We're going to use all 3 of them in this journal. But the glassine bag and this tag combination make exactly the same kind of pocket. Now you could fold this over and glue this sideways and make a pocket like this where it's sideways with the tag popping out. Or you could glue it onto a page like I was talking about with the coin envelope. You have options with this one. You could also sew this one if you haven't already done your signature. You could sew this one in the signature and put your pocket sewn into the signature right here and put your little tag and bag that way. Anyway, we're going to make this one today. My words are going to fail me all day. I would like to work on this one. However, I'm not sure if we're going to make what I originally planned or if we're going to just make pockets out of them. But anyway, I would like to work on these. And again, all of this stuff was in your kit. If you didn't get a kit, there are kits available if you want. But if you didn't purchase the kit, maybe you already have things like this in your craft room that you can use. Okay, so if you're working without a kit, that's totally fine. Just find something that's similar to these items in your craft room and use those. We're going to make this big tag if we haven't already, because I did napkin decoupage on that. Okay, these, you got a red and a green bag. Some of them are polka dot, some of them are stripe. But you got a red and a green, so you had 2 bags. I sewed one bag. All my red bags I sewed into my signature, which leaves me with a green bag. So I'm going to put this on a page. Here's my page. I'm going to put it on a page. It's basically going to cover an entire page, and it is going to be a large pocket for a large tag. It doesn't have to be this tag. It could be a masterboard tag or something else, but it's going to cover an entire page, and we're going to embellish that guy. So there's that. And I think that is pretty much, oh, nope, forgot this guy. And we're going to make this window envelope. And I've already told you before, I'm going to be cutting off a section of this envelope. And I'm going to make a window envelope for a tag down here. And then the cutoff part is going to be a pocket on another page. So that's the little ephemera kind of starter things that we had included into the kit. And so if you want to pull these things out, that's where I'm going to start today. Again, if you haven't already made a masterboard, I encourage you to probably start with that. I mean, you could start here too, but a masterboard is going to give you the basis for a lot of ephemera. So if you haven't made a masterboard, make sure you make that, and make sure that you are using these pieces in your kit to make some easy and quick ephemera, because basically you know, we don't have to construct the bag, the pocket. It's already here. We're just decorating it. So again, it will be faster to make this kind of ephemera. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm sorry for my voice and my nasally sound. It's much better today than it was yesterday, but it's still not great. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with this. There is also in your kit this sheet. Everyone got this sheet in their kit. Yours is exactly like mine. It's printed on this parchment cardstock. And if I don't sneeze, these two that go sideways, right? These two here go sideways. These are 2 pockets. So I'm going to make those into pockets. You could make them into journal cards or whatever you wanted. Again, they're printed on parchment so that you don't have to back it with coffee dyed paper. You could just cut them out and you could put them in as journal cards. Or I'm going to use 2 that go horizontal as pockets. And then I'm going to use these 2 vertical ones as journal cards. That's what I'm doing with mine. You don't have to do the same thing, but this was included in your kit. Also, this is a piece. So for those of you that always ask me about my printer, this was printed on that EcoTank, the 3850, the ET3850. It's an Epson ET3850. It's linked in the description box below the video. But this is the kind of prints that you can get from that printer. And I think that they come out lovely. And so anyway, 2 pockets, 2 journal cards. So this is what I'm working with to begin today. We will also make other ephemera that is not from this stuff, as long as we can get to that section. Okay. What am I going to use to decorate all of these things? Because after you pull out this stuff, which is bases, you want to pull out things to decorate with. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I pulled, and this is not an exhaustive list, but it's some of the things I'm going to be using. I have Florentine scraps, and they're just, this is just a scrap pile at this point. So this is Florentine paper. This is not really Christmas, it's gold. I think we put it in the Christmas pack, but I have Florentine Christmas papers down here, so I'm definitely using Florentine paper. It's great for color and pattern and that kind of stuff. So I'm using Florentine paper. For focal points, I have the focal points that came in your kit, which was the sheet of poinsettias, which are down here. The sheet of poinsettias, the sheet of ladies, and the sheet of focal points. So for focal points, I have those to choose from, as well as anything else we find, some Tim Holtz ephemera, whatever. Music paper is always good at Christmas time. It's good anytime, but specifically at Christmas time. I have some bits of ledger here that we could use for backgrounds. I have some napkin. I don't think we're going to get into that, but if we do, then I have it here, right? Leftover napkin bits. I have some Braille paper, but what I pulled in that's different today is I found this wrapping paper at TJ Maxx. It is wrapping paper for wrapping presents at TJ Maxx. And if you don't have this, maybe you have a digital printout of this, because there are those on Etsy. Maybe you have the Tim Holtz stamps that he had a whole entire stamp set that was just this ticking cloth kind of fabric. Maybe you have that, and maybe you can just ink up the stamp in red. You can stamp that out on some paper and then tear it up for collage. But this is just wrapping paper from TJ Maxx. And then this is also wrapping paper from TJ Maxx. This one is actually pearlized, but it's just green Christmas music. I thought they were cute. I pulled them in here so I could use them as collage. Of course, I'm going to use, I found this little note and I'm going to use it. It's an original ephemera from probably the 1700s. But anyway, whatever old ephemera you have, pull that out. Of course, I pulled book pages. So whatever book pages I have, there's those. I found an old sheet of kind of red and green. It's not teal color like my camera is showing. Neither is my cover. My cover is not teal, but it likes to show the forest green, Christmas tree green as teal for us, just to irritate me. So anyway, this is Christmas tree green. So is this marble paper. It's just an old piece out of a ledger. And I just thought that maybe we could use some of that in collage. So I pulled that. I do have some original French fashion magazines. I want to make a project out of some of the fashion bits of it. So I have some of those. Again, these are available in Etsy if you need them. But this is where we're getting ladies from and fashion. And there's other things in here that I want to use today. So there's some of those. And I kept these ones because they're torn. I try to use the torn ones for my crafting and sell you guys better ones, but there's that section of things. I also have some original handwriting. I do have some extra digitals. I cannot tell you where these digitals came from. Most of them are the ones from the kits that we used, but some of them are not. Some of them are other things. But the reason why I have extra digitals like this, you can see like I even had to adjust my print heads, like whatever. This is for collage. This pile is for collage. So any red and green kind of digitals, neutral digitals that you want to use as collage, go ahead and pull those out. And then I have documents. So we have stuff that looks like this. And I will be filling these journals after we do like our pockets and tags. I will be filling them with original ephemera also. So whatever you have that you want to put in these journals. Some of this I wanted for collage, but anyway, a pile of ephemera. Whatever you have that you want to put in, get it out and let's get going to decorate these guys. So let's situate this stuff so that I can pull some things out and decorate. And you're like, that's a lot of things. This is what's on my desk or what is within arm's reach. So that's what I pulled. You're going to pull whatever you have. I also have Tim Holtz things over here, which I neglected to show you. But there's a lot of Tim Holtz things where if we need something specific, we could use that too. So let's get started with super easy and we'll try to go easy to difficult today. We'll see if we can get to the difficult part. All right. So super simple is we're going to start by making these pockets and journal cards. I literally just laid these antique postcards onto my scanning bed and scanned them. These ones are from 1903 or 5. And so after we get them cut out, we're going to thumb hole punch them. If you want your pockets to have thumb notches. Some people don't want thumb notches in their pockets, and that's totally fine too. So cut them out, ink them. That looks fairly decent. Do I have a punch in here? Of course I don't have punch in here. Hold on 2 seconds. I need a punch. Thank you guys for joining me this morning. I think it's still morning for everyone for another 20 minutes. Okay, so these guys should be the same size. We should be able to thumb hole notch them both at the same time. And again, I started with super simple because I need super simple right now. I don't want to do too deep of a thumb notch because I don't want to take away too much of the design. So after we thumb notch them, we're just going to ink them quick. I don't really need to ink every single little thing, except for I do want to glue stuff into the journals today. So if you'll bear with me, I want to have my stuff glued into at least one journal. I won't do all 3 while you guys are sitting here, but the goal is at the end of the video, as long as I can make it through, that we have all of the ephemera made. all of the ephemera made and glued in so that next time when we get together, it's really just that final embellishing. And that's a whole process by itself. So there's that guy. And I'll do this one a little lighter. I don't want quite as dark. And I'm just doing these plain for now, but I will tell you I'm going to add lace across the bottom of them. So when I add lace to pockets, I always add that with Fabri-Tac. So we'll add lace across the bottoms of these. And there's that guy. So there's 2 instant pockets. And then just take lace and do a little bead of glue and add lace across the bottoms. And I will get up and do that when we're adding lace to all of our ephemera at once later in today's video. So 2 pockets done. Okay, we need 2 journal cards. Again, super simple. I will not ink these on camera because I don't need to glue them in, but I will ink them before I put them in my journal. Makes sense, hopefully. I will try to save us some time where I'm not inking things that I can ink later. Okay, so we have 2 pockets and 2 journal cards. This one, the journal, the original, how should I say this? The original postcard was bent right there, so he's missing, but we will ink all around those later. Done. Need to find my trash can. All right. These are simple. You could do a little embellishing. You could put a little label or something else. You could put a little postage stamp on the front since they were postcards. But these are super simple pieces of ephemera. Okay, done. Moving on. We're going to work on the bag next. I'm going easiest to hardest. Let's make one bag together. And basically, I said before, it's going to cover pretty much an entire page. And so in one of my journals, you could put it on a coffee dyed paper if you wanted. I don't like to do that because I don't want to take away journaling space from someone. I mean, we're adding journaling space with the tag that's in it, but I would prefer to find another page. Like, I wouldn't put it here, but another page where you're going to cover it up. Maybe we have like, even this guy, he's journaling space, but you could put this back there. So find a place where you need a little bit of color. Maybe you didn't love a specific part of a digital or something like that. You could surely put it. The problem is I love all of our digitals, but even this one, you could put it right here, you know, and that would be fine. So find a page in your journal where you're going to glue this guy down. You could put it on a decorated page like this, and you'll still see some around the sides and the bottom. Some of the pattern, you could do that for sure. But just find a spot where you don't particularly love the page or it's too plain for your interest. I wouldn't want to cover that up. But again, any place in your journal that is plain and you would prefer it not to be plain, it will fit on this book page just barely. I don't like to stick it over into the signature too far, but you could even glue it on this little envelope flap right here, and then it would turn like this. You could glue it right here and still have a tuck here, and it would turn. That's a good option. If you want to do that, that's a good option. You might need to, depending on how heavy you make what you're sticking in there, you might need to glue the whole entire thing down. But that's still a good option for this sack. So anyway, there's places to put it in the journal. Let's go ahead and decorate it. For this one, I want to start off by finding a focal point that I like, and then kind of work backwards and do the layering after I find a focal point. We had in your journal kit, if you got a kit, you could put a lady if you hadn't already used all your ladies. You could maybe come in and put this angel. She's carrying a Christmas tree. She's a Christmas angel. She's a little bit on the bigger side. You could use her. This guy, he's a little small. Honestly, all of these are fairly small. Like maybe this Santa would go there with some other decorating. We can try to use him. I don't know if I've used him on anything else yet. Let me look at my cutout sheet. I have not used him yet. So let's go ahead and cut this Santa out. We're not for sure yet, but we're thinking. So he's an option. Other options are like Tim Holtz ephemera would look great on here. If you wanted to use like paper, if you wanted to use like paper dolls, you could use paper dolls on there. A lot of times the paper dolls are a good size. And because I'm making my journal kind of themed in the Victorian times, a lot of the paper dolls are that where they're wearing Victorian clothing as opposed to like 1930s or 40s clothing. So you could do that, a paper doll. We might consider the option here. I need a big one though. And obviously he has winter paper dolls. I don't have those in here. I just have regular ones. I mean, you could just do like a little girl even, because Christmas is really about the children. So you could do that. She's lovely, but she has an arm that needs to rest on something. So I don't know. We have options. Tim Holtz would probably fit on there better because Santa's going to be, he's okay, but you're going to need to do a lot of collaging to make that Santa work. Maybe we'll focus on a Tim Holtz doll. Many of you probably have something similar in your craft room. Other options, if we don't do Tim Holtz paper doll, what do I have here next to me? Another option would be this. Well, I found more paper dolls, so that's cool. But another option for decorating this guy is one of Tim Holtz found relatives. And so a nice picture like that would be cute. He has so many men in his stuff. Maybe these children. Let's do that. Children, because it's Christmas. That really does kind of cover that bag. It looks nice. Maybe you have some kind, if you don't have a found relative from Tim Holtz, maybe you have an original cabinet card or something. Maybe you want to scan or copy an original antique photograph that you have. Maybe you bought a digital. There are many Etsy digitals that are these kinds of photographs. So many options for getting something like this if you don't have the Tim Holtz. But that kind of fills that bag up nicely. And then we'll just do some collage with it. I can quickly look through here and see if there's anything else. Though that couple is kind of wearing some fur and stuff like that for winter. That's another good option. I'm trying to keep these more wintry or Christmas themed. So I think we'll go with the children. That's where I think I will do. And another reason why I'm choosing not to use this is because I know we have a million tags and things like that to do, and he will fit better on a tag than a bag. If you have nothing else, this guy will work perfectly, but you're going to need to fussy cut him and then layer him up with a couple of background pieces, like a doily or book page or both or ledger or something like that. Let's go ahead and start here. Good morning, Rosalind. Let me set these to the side. And get some water. Okay. We will save him, and I know that he will fit also on any of this kind of ephemera. He will look great on there too. So any of this kind of ephemera. So we'll save him. If you cut him out with me, don't fret. Let's talk about layering this guy. So you can put something behind if you're using a big piece of ephemera like this, right? You can put something behind, and I probably will put some book page back there. And then you want to layer something over the top to blend this in. I don't like just putting I will show you. I don't like just putting this on the top and calling it done. To me, it needs to be the middle layer. So you need to do a background layer of something. Book page is a great option. Ledger, wrapping paper if you're using that. Something in the background. This is the middle layer. And then you'll put something over the top to kind of blend that in. So the top part can be across the top up here. It can be two places. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. But again, plopping this on the top alone, it looks a little unfinished. It needs a little bit of more layering, in my opinion. Let's go ahead and get started with book page. Book page, you could use music paper back there. Music paper is good. Let me just pull out this gigantic pile again for a second. And I wish that I was more organized and had more space, but but I don't. So you could use Florentine paper back there, but we're going to use Florentine paper a lot. And so I'm going to save that. We have some red ledger. Maybe we put the red ledger on the tag that goes in. Music paper, good option. Where are my book pages? Here's my book pages. Printed scrapbook paper. We didn't even talk about that, but if you have red or green printed scrapbook paper, the thin kind or the thick kind, the thin kind works better for collaging, but a lot of us have old scrapbook paper. It could even be new scrapbook paper, but if it's red and green, it's in play, or gold or any other color that you think works. And that would be another good option for layering. I just want something like this. This guy will work perfectly. So let's use him. All right. I would like to see some of the dictionary part up across the top. The page number would be awesome, but it's probably going to get covered by that photo. I like to tear the paper at an angle like this. And you could use the top part or you could use the bottom part. It's really personal preference. Sometimes you'll use one, sometimes you use the other probably. But this guy's already got a tear here. So I'm going to opt for something that kind of goes, I guess I'm going to lose that book page number. This is a super thin rag paper page. And so I tried to get it a little head start by folding. We'll see how that goes. So now we'd have something that looks like that. We would layer this guy up on there. That's perfect. So let's go ahead and tear the rest of this. And I'm keeping all my little torn bits at this point. I do plan on using those in the 4th video of the series, the next video, and we'll do some embellishing with that. I don't want this straight edge across the top, so I'm just going to do a little torn edge here. Again, I'm working with a very thin book page. That's fine. We're going to glue that on. Do I even have glue stick in here? Kind of, sort of. All right, so layering. We're going to glue our paper and then lay it on. This is a thin page and a dry glue stick. We're going to hope for the best. And when you're layering things, you do need to get glue on all of it. Some people try to go like around the edge or something like that. And what happens is if you don't get glue everywhere, it kind of creates an air pillow. And that air pillow can be felt. It just makes your piece of ephemera kind of bumpy. And if it's not glued down, chances are over time it will come up. It will come unglued. And so I just kind of glued that guy on there. And across the bottom, while it's wet, I'm just going to kind of tear and get what I get down there. And then I'm going to let this part dry. And then I'm going to cut this little piece that's overhanging here off. I liked the little bit of the red and green, or not red and green, the green and white showing there. And so next we're going to layer that on, and then we'll add some more color and embellishing across here. So let's go ahead and get this trimmed off. I could just fold it, but I don't want to have it bumpy on my page. And we're not sure where we're sticking it yet. Maybe we'll stick it to the envelope. So when you're cutting off your excess, make sure you don't cut into your baggie. Your baggie makes a perfect pocket. Now, should you think that this bag was too big on a page, you could certainly alter the size of the bag. I would recommend cutting off the bottom. If you think, where's my little mock journal page? I've already lost it. I don't know where it is. Anyway, if you think it's too big and you don't want to cover up an entire page, I would recommend cutting off some of the bottom of it and then just re-gluing the bottom. And that's going to allow you to put this on a page that's a little smaller or have more of the page stick through. We're using glue stick. If you use wet glue, you want to make sure that your bag is not going to become too wet and stick closed. So I'm using glue stick. All of you guys who are using glue stick should be fine. But if you're using a wet glue to do the collage, make sure that your bag isn't sticking closed inside. Okay, moving on to this one. And the reason why I mentioned that is because I'm going to use wet glue to glue this guy on. We could use glue stick, but on the Tim Holtz ephemera, it's kind of thick, and I like to use the art glitter glue for it. So here's my tip if you're using art glitter glue and you don't want the glue to seep out around the edge. So see how a lot of it just came out right on the edge? You can try to kind of smooth that out. My stomach is now growling. You can try to smooth that out and go around the edge and then go through the middle. First of all, put it on lightly, right? Don't want to over glue it. But then before you lay this down, give it just a few seconds. Art glitter glue will thicken up the longer it's exposed to air. So if you just hold it for a few seconds before you stick it down, it makes this glue less liquidy. It makes it spread less. So you'll have less seeping out around the edge, and it makes it seep through the paper less. So just giving it a minute in air to set up, and then you're going to lay it down on your bag. If you want to do additional layers back here, you are more than welcome to do that. For me, I think we're good here. I've tried my best to center. It might be slightly off, but that's fine. My whole brain is crooked right now, so it's all good. Okay, so that guy's on. Again, our bag is not sticking closed. We're fine there. I apologize for my stomach growling. Let's move on. We're going to do some little bits of layering. I want to add a couple things to this. Right now it's looking pretty bland. I definitely want to get some red on there. Tim Holtz has that amazing packs of ephemera. I encourage you guys, if you haven't gotten any, and usually they sell out. So if it's not sold out yet, go to Simon Says Stamp and pick up one of these Christmas ephemera packs. They might be available on Amazon. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. I like Simon Says Stamp the best for purchasing this kind of supply. I think it's a good company, but sometimes shipping is slower. And so sometimes if I need it right away, I might go to Amazon. But the reason why I like it is just something like this across the bottom. It adds a lot of color. It's really kind of the perfect finishing thing. I really like that. And so let's use something like this. If you don't have any of these little bits, maybe you have a digital of some Christmas labels from I think Studio 717 or something like that has a Christmas label pack. Lots of people on Etsy do. So anything like that will work just to add a little bit of color. If you don't want to add this kind of thing, maybe you have some washi tape that has some Christmas color, red or green washi tape. Maybe some of you are using a red bag, and so you're going to use something, green instead of red. But washi tape is a good option. And in fact, I did bring in, since we're using a photograph, I brought in a pack of This is Ideology, and it's the vintage tape. I don't know what he calls it. He calls it cello sticker tape, but it's supposed to be mimicking old vintage tape. And anytime I use one of these found relative photos or any of Tim Holtz's photos, I like to use the vintage tape on top of it. And I will tell you guys right now, the very first video in the 365 series is how to make this vintage tape ourselves. So if you do not want to buy it, you can make it yourself. It's the very first video in the 365 series. It's super easy. You cannot mess it up. And so we have that. But also over here in this little baggie of ephemera, I have a vintage piece of tape. And so as a junk journaler, maybe you're like me, and maybe you're just saving random bits of trash. This is a piece of vintage tape, and I couldn't throw it away, so I saved it. And you can use glue stick and glue this down. But anyway, for today we are going to use Tim's tape. Tim's tape, you know, it's perfect, right? So let's go ahead and use that. Let's see what size we want. Do we want the wide? Because it comes in different widths in his pack. There's the wide. There's some that are more like medium. I think we're going to use the mediums. Let's use mediums. So, how can I show you this? I'm using the medium width one. And all I'm going to do is find some grungy looking little pieces. Now, I know that I want to add this down here to blend the two layers together. And so maybe we go across the top and down the side here. Let's just play with it and see how this happens. So use some vintage tape. If you don't want to use vintage tape, maybe you have washi tape or something. It will all work, right? So let's just choose some tape off of here. And let's use it this way. Usually, you know, I might add some additional adhesive. I did not. I'm just letting it be what it is. And here is another piece. For whatever reason, this one has some clear at the end of it, and I don't want that clear, so I'm going to recut a little jaggedy edge. I didn't want the clear bit. I don't know if it was supposed to be clear or whatever, but I just cut mine and made my own little jaggedy edge. And I think I would like a jaggedy edge on this side too. So there's that. Okay, so now we have this, and do I want to go across, sideways? Do I want to go there? There? Placement. I think we're going to go here. Okay, so there's some vintage tape just randomly kind of thrown on there. And now we're going to ink up this little guy. We could choose any other little piece out of here. It doesn't really matter. I just wanted something that brought in another color, red, whatever. And so we're going to glue that down. Again, for Tim Holtz, it's printed cardstock, so I'm going to use the art glitter glue. Ultimately, you know, if you look at old ephemera, Carol, old ephemera, people just put stuff random. It needs to be pleasing to your eye. And chances are, if it's pleasing to your eye, it will be pleasing to someone else's eye. But if you look at old original, like scrapbooks, photo albums, that kind of thing, they just put stuff randomly. It was not put in, you know, perfect placement. So even if yours is like a little off or a little random or whatever, that's really how it was. So we're just going to leave this bag just like this. Now, when I put it on a page, I might come in and put lace across the bottom just to zhuzh it up a little bit. But we'll see after I place it in the journal whether or not I want lace down here. So for now, the bag is done. It's not glued shut, not even all the way at the bottom. We're all good. Set it aside to dry. If it's open a little bit, it will help it dry faster. But that's what we did for that one. And it was super easy. Now I should have inked my photograph before I put it down, because I can see now that I've lifted it up, I can see that white edge right there. I'm just going to pretend that's not there. If you want to ink all the way around your bag, you could certainly do that too. These bags do take ink pretty well. So if you're going to ink the bag, I would suggest starting out lighter and then going a little heavier depending. But the bags take ink really well. So be careful. Otherwise you might end up with, you know, more ink than you originally intended. But a little inking is okay. And I really should have inked that photo, but whatever. It's all good now. It's on there, so there's not really too much we can do about it. What we can do is ink this little top of the bag, and we can open it up and ink right here. It's kind of a serrated cut edge, and so I like the way that the serrated bag tops, it's not really, I don't know if serrated is the right word, but it kind of picks up the ink pretty well. So that's the way I'm leaving mine for now. I wish that I could fold it and ink this one little top right here, just because it's bothering me. But that's what we got. Let's set it to the side and move on. There it is in the basket. Okay, so we did that. We need to do some more ephemera. Let's work on, we did bags. Set those to the side because these are the other ones for the other journals. Let's work on this guy. So this guy here, you either have red or green coin envelope. Again, it's the one that opens across the top, the short side. If you have the long side, then you have a regular envelope. This is a coin envelope. Let's go ahead and layer up some things on him. You could, if you wanted to, fold your flap down like this to avoid seeing where it's constructed. I like to see where it's constructed, so that's not going to bother me. Let's do a deeper thumb hole notch right here. And maybe we collage it first, but I want to do a thumb hole notch, so we're doing one. You need to fold back the top of the coin envelope. Oh my gosh. Fold back the top of the coin envelope if you're using a punch like mine. Get your punch in there. Just try to center it. And do that little thumb notch. Just to give us a little bit more here to pull a tag in and out of. Hopefully you guys can see that little thumb notch right there. Okay, so moving on, let's do some layering. We could do book page, we could do Florentine paper, we could do whatever. I have some Florentine paper sitting here, so we're probably going to do Florentine paper. Let's do that. Right now we're very, very red, and I would like it to be less red. So let's do Florentine paper. Again, apparently I have to pull every single thing over here all the time. But Florentine paper's down here. Music paper would be another good option. Maybe we keep some music paper over here. Like that piece is just perfectly sized for this. And I know that we're going to need to add some green because we don't have much green. And I thought we had more larger sheets of Florentine. I might have to go in the hall and grab one. But anyway, because I have a red envelope, I want to focus on adding a neutral background and some green. If you have a green envelope, add a neutral background and some red. Something to bring in the opposite color. Or you could do all neutral, you know, something that you like. But this one, it's just a vintage music sheet. I have no idea where it came from. But it's the right size, so I'm going to use that to make an easy, quick background. You could use book page, whatever you want to use there. But let's go ahead and kind of fold this over at an angle. And I don't crease it. I just give it kind of a rounded fold. And that's to help me tear it at kind of the right angle. And we're going to glue that on. Perfect. I don't want to cover up my thumb notch, so I'm going to just adjust my tear here. That works. Okay, so we're going to glue that. I'm not going to ink it. I don't want it inked. I just want a background. Just because that's very, very red. And I don't quite want so much red. Again, some of you guys like to work where you find a page in your journal and then you make whatever piece of ephemera for that page that you think looks nice, whatever. I don't work that way. I make all of my ephemera and then I find a page that piece of ephemera looks good on. I make the ephemera so that it will work for my theme, work for my colors, all of that kind of stuff. So I'm just centering it here, making sure that it's going to be straight. But you can work either way, but I don't work where I find a page in my journal and then make a piece of ephemera for that page. I think if you make it that way, it takes much longer. So when you have 3 journals to do, or you have like, dozens of journals a year or however many it is, you need to find time-saving ways of completing those journals. And if you're making journals to sell, you really can't afford to spend 500 hours making a junk journal, right? And so making the ephemera ahead of time for all 3 journals, because normally if I was sitting here and the camera wasn't on, I would have made 3 bags. I would have done the same thing basically for 3 different bags. And now I would be doing 3 coin envelopes at once. And then I would find places to place all of my ephemera later. I have never made a journal once where I was like, oh, I made this and it can't go on any page. Never once has that happened. If it did happen, then I would just save it in my ephemera box and use it later. But if you think about the theme and you make sure that all the ephemera that you're making is going for the right theme and it's the right color combination, it will all work in there. So again, I'm saving all these random little bits of paper. So far, this is my little collection, and we're going to use all these tiny little torn pieces that you normally would throw away in video number 4. So make sure you're saving those as you go. Okay, this is what we have. It's pretty plain. We need to zhuzh it up. We're going to put some green in here. And I don't want to cover all of the red because I would like to see that, yes, it is still a red envelope. I'm just going to tear some green and hope for the best. There's some green. I might have to put it down here. We are going to have to put it down there. And now I've got just a little bit of red peeking out at the top. We'll ink it up in just a minute, but let's glue this on. And again, I added green because I have a red envelope. And you want something, the formula for this one, you want something neutral, book page, music page, ledger, something neutral, right? Handwriting. And then you want something with color. Use the opposite color of your envelope, and that will be a good combination. We're still in the easy phase. The easy phase of our journal ephemera making. So we're going to layer this on there so that it is straight, or just a little bit of red peeking out is fine too. Get that guy glued on. This little bit across the bottom. I'm going to cut off here in just a minute. And then we cut out this guy initially, and I think he will look great on there. So let's fussy cut him while this little bit hanging off the bottom here dries. And so, do I have cutter bees? Just because he's smaller and delicate, let's use the cutter bees. I saw that cutter bees were now back up to $17 on Amazon. At one point, they were $6. So it's always nice to have a new pair of cutter bees. So what's on your Christmas list, guys? What's on your Christmas lists? Like craft room supplies. What's on your Christmas lists? Anybody out there? Maybe it's not craft room supplies. Maybe you want a new car. Maybe you want a diamond tennis bracelet. I don't know what other things that song says that woman wants, but maybe you want all those things, right? Who wouldn't? But what's on your Christmas list for yourself? As women, we often, we buy everybody else presents. We make sure everybody else is covered. Usually, there's a phase in our life, at least, where we're focused on, presents for children and things like that. And sometimes there's, not enough time or not enough money or whatever to go around and buy ourselves something. So what's on your Christmas list for you this year? What is on your Christmas list? My doorbell might ring in a minute because it seems like there's a package truck out there. If it does, I apologize. What is on your Christmas list for yourself? Sorry. I am saving for a move. So my Christmas list will be just saving. I won't buy myself anything, basically. I will be saving for a move because moving is going to be very expensive this time. Just movers alone and, all the things that go with that. So I'm saving for a move. Boring that way, but honestly, I have a lot of things I don't really need for anything, right? And women, again, we always like that. We don't really need anything. Anyway, let's see. Reading glasses to convert the French to English. That would be amazing, Shauna. That really would. A die cut machine. That's a good one. Supplies from me. A team to help you rearrange your craft room. I dream about that. Tim Holtz stamps. A printer. Somebody bought themselves a printer for Christmas. That's awesome. Tim Holtz. That's really cool. Good Christmas wishes. Organizable containers. I know we're always on the search for things that will help us stay organized and make making easier, right? Somebody needs to invent those glasses. There were Google glasses that did some amazing things, but I don't remember what they did or if they're real or what they... Maybe I had a dream about it. I don't know. But I thought there were glasses at one point that did do some things for us. I don't know that they translated, but that would be cool. I know there's Google Lens on your phone, but that's different. So anyway, fussy cut him, inked him. To darken the color, if you wish to, you can just run your ink dauber very lightly. And this doesn't have a lot of ink on it. Just run it over it and it will just kind of darken the printer color a little bit. We're going to glue this and stick this on and cut off this little bit. Yeah, I have to be super boring and just save my money for my move. We have to move house and business. So it won't be for at least a year, but it's a very expensive thing. So that's what I'm saving for. And so we're going to glue our Santa Claus on there. I took my sweet time cutting him out. I apologize. Sometimes I'm like crafting for me and not crafting for camera being on. All right. So super simple piece of ephemera. I'm just going to put him on. And yeah, he's kind of floating. And maybe some doily back there would be nice. Let me see if I can get some doily. Do we want doily? Let's go ahead and stick him on there. But we're going to need to do a little bit more layering. He's a little too small. He's still a little too small for here. Let's use this doily. I have some torn Christmas doily. So this was included in your kit. This is a damaged one. But in your kit, we used him to put on, to put in the signature. So if you put him in the signature, you don't have one anymore. But because this piece is laying here, let me see what it would look like with that. it helps, but not really a lot. It's still blending in too much with this. Let me see about this one. And by the time I decide, my glue will dry. Learning French was on my to-do list, and then I got too busy. All right, so we're just going to take a section of this. And we're going to glue that on. I don't know what. It's just he's a little too small, something like that. Maybe he even needs to stand on something. You know, a piece of Tim Holtz ephemera probably would have solved this problem. But for now, we're just going to stick this on. I'm about out of glue stick here. But we're just going to get this glued on. And what should be a blue glue stick at the end sometimes is white. No big deal. Not at all. I want to scoop that over. I just use whatever glue is on the paper and just kind of glue it down. Perfect. And then our Santa before he's dry. Oh, he's pretty dry. We need to refresh him. Little refresh. Okay. And now he can go there. He still needs something at the bottom, but that's okay. We could have tried to just do decorating on one corner of him also instead of dead in the center. And I think that would have been a good idea. But we did it here. So let's give him something to stand on because he's floating right now. No floating focal points. We can't have that. So let's give him something to stand on. Let's put these away before I stab myself. And let's look in here for something for him to stand on. I mean, even something like this going across would be fine. Do we have like a little layering thing that could happen? Here's a bigger shipping label. Let's do that. There we go. We'll do a bigger shipping label. And I like this because it's red. So it can kind of bring back in that red envelope. Yeah, my grandparents, one was German and one was Italian on my father's side. My mother's was all British, but they did not, even though they were raised in families that could speak German and Italian, they did not teach their children that, and thus I did not get taught that. So unfortunately, in our family, as you know, early as my grandparents, they were able to speak German and Italian, but they did not carry that on. So now nobody knows in our family. All right, so I have this out and I really like it. Do I want to just randomly stick it on there? It's kind of cute. I'm going to do it. I just like it. Maybe it's too weird. I like it. I'm going to do it. You do you. I'm going to do me. And maybe tomorrow I'll be like, oh, you definitely had a fever when you made this. But for now, I had it out there and I liked it and I'm going to stick it on. To my knowledge, I do not have any French relatives. Do we want it this way or do we want it? We want it this way. And we're just going to go right down the edge of this pocket. Perfect. If you have washi tape, maybe washi tape down the edge would be good. But let's leave that there before I go to Tim Holtz Happy and just start sticking things everywhere. I have a tendency to do that. His stuff is so fun to collage. You know, it's hard. Like, you know, there's that potato chip ad from a long time ago. And it said, like, it's hard to eat one. I think it was Pringles or something. I don't know. Or Lay's. I don't know. It says it's hard to eat just one. And I think Tim Holtz ephemera is hard to just use one. Oftentimes we're use in multiple, and once you start, then you want to layer more. It's just so much fun to use his things. So I want to ink in here. You can see the glue is still wet right here, and it pulled some ink there. So we'll keep going with that. Now I'm inking with oxide, and oxide is really showing up nicely on the red. If you're inking with regular vintage photo, it may not ink up quite as well as this one. So there's that guy. He's cute. Somebody could journal a little something on here about whatever memory is put in the pocket. But this is going to get glued down on a page. So we have not made the tags for these yet. We will do that, but let's focus on pockets at the moment. This is the tag for that guy. We'll just leave him to the side. Let's do this one. So again, Shauna, it's very hard to compete with Tim Holtz in Saturday morning. So let's go ahead and make this little pocket. I talked about this before. You could shorten him if you wanted, because this tag, if you're using the one that came in the kit, you'll need to shorten it a little bit, or else this tag is going to get lost. You could add a bead of glue or something like that to it too. I'm going to do it where I just add a bead of glue and then I put lace at the bottom. This is a little bit more hard for some people, so you might not want to do this, but to add a bead of glue, you're going to obviously stick your, so first of all, I sized it. I put my tag in there where I would want my tag to stick out, and I folded it up and just gave it a little pinch. So right there, that line, that's where I need to put my glue. Not everyone will agree with me on this technique, but this is the way I like to do it. So you could fold it up and make a pocket, but you put your glue bottle in there to where you need to glue, right? I have my line there, and you just add a line of glue in there. It doesn't need to be neat or anything else. It just needs to be in there. Again, this is art glitter and this is glassine, so let it set for a second. You don't need to go side to side. You just need to get some glue so this tag will stop at your designated stopping point instead of going all the way down in to where you won't be able to reach it. So I've created a stopping point. We're going to decorate the front of this, so you're not going to ever see this bit of glue that I put in there. But the glue is for a stopping point for your tag, and you can use that method on any pocket. If your tag, is a pre-made tag like this and it's only so big, it's a good option for using that without having it fall down in the bag. So if you've ever bought a journal from someone or something like that and your tag is like down in here, it's going to tear, it's going to rip. It's just not great to leave it that way. So do put some line in, or like I talked about originally, folding that up and creating a little tuck pocket on the front is another option, where if you just fold up the bottom, it creates a little tiny pocket there, and you could stick a piece of Tim Holtz ephemera or something like that in that little front pocket. I'm going to decorate the front of my bag, so that's what I'm doing. Let's use something. Let's use some ledger on this one. Or you know what? Let's use our wrapping paper. We haven't used that yet. Let's use our wrapping paper. I'm just going to size a piece of wrapping paper to fit this. I know it's right here on this line. So I'm just going to fold it over, create myself a little piece. If you don't have wrapping paper, again, any scrapbook paper, digital printout, pattern paper, whatever you want to use. I don't know if this is going to tear or what this is going to do. Okay. Basically, the point of this is just some color and some pattern. So I'm going to put that down there. I want to see my glassine bag. I don't want to cover up the entire thing. So I'm going to just rough tear the bottom That's perfect. And from there, I'm just going to start at a point and tear it down kind of at a crooked angle. And that's all I want. I just want a little bit of pattern down there. So just a little bit of pattern and color. And then we're just going to layer up something there. If you have a stamp set and you would like to stamp some images, or maybe you've stamped and embossed some little Christmas images, you could fussy tear around those and just use those as focal points too. For this one, we probably have a focal point in Tim Holtz ephemera, or we could cut out a fussy cut from the kit that I gave you guys. It doesn't really matter, but I mean, poinsettias and that little ticking stripe is super cute. Let's see what else there is. I'm going to save the little journaling cards to use as journaling cards. Cute little label. I mean, that whole combination right there is super cute. We're not going to do it, but it's super cute. I don't know if there's anything in here that is a focal point that is not like a separate journal card. Here's a Christmas tree. It's kind of big. I think it's big, but we'll leave it out for a moment. There's this little oval. There's this little sign. Here's some holly. That would be super cute too. Okay, so we found some options in here. And there's a few more back in here, but this is one pack of ephemera, I think. And there's quite a few options in there. That's cute. It says Christmas souvenir. All right, we're good. So let's pick that back up, put that over there. And let's play with these things. Now, if you don't have Tim Holtz ephemera, over here, we have our sheet of fussy cuts and layering. I mean, I gave you a whole sheet of poinsettias as well, so you could certainly use a poinsettia from one of my digitals, which I'll look at here in just a second. But this little girl face would be super cute. The little girl's face, so we can layer that. We could put her and maybe some lace down there. That would be super cute. Her nestled in some lace. Let's see about using that one. We'll save her. And then for poinsettias, because I knew a lot of you would not have the Tim Holtz ones, I made you a whole sheet of poinsettias here. And so you'll notice that a lot of them have two in the little poinsettia bunch. Feel free to trim those out as you need. So if you need a smaller one or it needs to fit in a specific place, feel free to trim it out and use it differently. We could even put the girl and some poinsettias. If you really wanted to get into fussy cutting, you could certainly do that. We could add the girl and some real holly, whatever. But let's cut her face out. I'm going to glue this wrapping paper down first, and then let's cut her face out. That sounds terrible. You can glue, this is pretty dry in here now. You can glue, you can ink glassine. My goodness. You can ink glassine. This glue stick is just about done. Let's see if we have enough. I apologize for my brain. My brain is hot and tired. Could probably fry an egg on my forehead, but it's hot and tired. Let's glue this down. And I'm just going to put it all the way to the bottom. Size it as best as I can. Straighter would have been better. There we go. Okay, so we just have some texture there, really. Some texture. I'll trim off the little excess, making sure I'm not cutting my bag. Okay. Now, if we're going to put her there, we're definitely going to put some doily behind her that's coming up and into that little area. And I think I would like some lace at the bottom. So I think I'm going super girly and frilly on this one. You guys do you. But what's going on in chat? I don't know exactly where I'm moving yet. My daughter and son-in-law will be moving first. And I have gone back and forth with staying in the part of the valley that I like to stay in, or moving to, so right now I'm in the East Valley. For those of you that do not know, I'm in Arizona and I'm in the East Valley. It's like a suburb of Phoenix. That's where I like to live. I've lived in lots of cities or towns in that area, but my daughter, because of her husband, my son-in-law's work, they need to live on the west side of town, the very northwest side of town. And so I have gone back and forth with staying where I have always stayed, where I know, where it feels like home, or going to their side of town. And traditionally, the East Valley is, how should I put this? For those of you that live in Arizona, you will know, but traditionally, the east side of town is a little safer, a little different than the west side of town, right? If you think of, what is that movie? West Side Story. So not quite that bad, but you know what I'm saying. It's just the east side of town, I think, is much more family oriented. I don't know. It's just different. I don't know how to explain it. If you live here, you know. The west side is a little bit, I don't want to say rougher, but houses are a lot less expensive and whatever. So for many reasons, west side is just different for me. I've never lived in the west side, never lived in the northwest, always in the southeast. And so it's hard for me to be like, oh yeah, I want to move there. But because my daughter is moving there, buying a house there is different than, currently they're renting. But buying a house means they'll be there for a while, right? And so my grandson, right? And if I live, right now I'm an hour and 20 minutes away. Some of you will be very mad at my statements, but it's okay. It's real life. I'm an hour and 20 minutes away right now, but they're going to move even further, which means I will be even further away, which kind of kills me, right? Like it's getting pretty far. It's getting a long drive, and it's hard for both of us because it's a long drive. So like, I'm just thinking that perhaps if I lived closer, obviously I'll get to babysit more. I'll get to see him more. I think living closer would be better because I can help her. We can hang out more, do more things, whatever. So for the first time in my life, I'm trying to think about living on the west side of town because they're going to be there. Otherwise, obviously, I would just stay where I'm at or in this side of town. But anyway, I'm going to glue this down, and I am going to put lace across the bottom. She needs something else down here. I might be putting some book page before I put some lace. Let's see that quick. There are lovely neighborhoods in the west side, but it's just a little bit harder. The school districts, not that they're thinking of that, they're going to homeschool, but the school districts, they're not as highly rated. It's just a lot different over there. And I just don't know about living there. I've never lived there before. So, and I would be buying a house, and I'm not they're young, right? So they'll move a whole bunch of times before they, find the right house and settle for forever, right? Their forever home. They'll be moving around. So I don't want to move and uproot everything of mine to that side of town. I'm definitely moving, but to that side of town if they're not really going to stay there for very long either. So I think she needs just a little bit of book page across the bottom. I don't like quite that much. And in fact, I'd rather have music paper than book page. I know they're going to move a lot. And so that's kind of on the back of my mind too. Cause like, you know, if he gets a different job, if whatever, then, you know, me moving there really is kind of pointless. If they're going to leave shortly after getting there. This is what I want. Anyway, that's a lot of back and forth about nothing, basically. Let's get some of this. I'm looking for something that looks like a label, but I don't want a traditional label, so I'm going to make a little music label. And I usually just tear out one bar of music. It's been a long time since I played music, but I'm going to tear out one of those. And I don't want the whole thing. I just want a bit of it for a label. And I want to continue that rough edge right there. That's all I wanted out of that whole entire process. Your cat keeps walking across your keyboard. Cats are so lovely. So lovely. They're constant source of entertainment and frustration all at the same time. Cats definitely have a mind of their own. Where your dog might just be sweet all the time, your cat is not sweet all the time. If you've ever owned a cat, you know full well that cat, he will be your best, sweetest cuddle buddy. He will come and sit on your lap and purr and be so sweet. And then in a moment, he will be crazy and you'll think that aliens are sending his brain a signal from outer space, and he'll go wild and run all over and scream and holler like he's dying or something. Cats have a big personality in a tiny little body, and they're quite fun, don't get me wrong, but they're very different than a dog. I don't have a baby wipe handy, but if I did, I'll be wiping this glassine bag with one. Okay, so we're finally to the point where I'm happy with her like that. And I am going to add white dangly lace from the bottom of this one. And that's the best case scenario for a cat being crazy, is the outer space brain signal. But worst case is he'll bite you or scratch you for just being near him 1 second after he was sitting in your lap purring and being sweet. So they are just very unique animals with complete different personalities than a dog. A dog is just like happy and stupid. And I mean that in the cutest way. Like they're just goofy, big, and they're smart, don't get me wrong, but they just act goofy all the time. At least mine did. Very smart German Shepherd, whatever. You could teach her anything and she'd get it like that. But her goofiness, because she was a big dog probably too, but anyway, goofy, never ever would snip at you or whatever. But that cat, man, if you just looked at it wrong or it was having a bad day, you were going to get it. Okay, so lace across the bottom and we're good with that. And I wanted to see, because glassine, kind of the point is it, oh my gosh, the point of glassine is that you would be able to see through the bag and see the tag decoration behind it. So I don't want to cover up the entire glassine bag. I did want to cover up my glue line down here, and that glue line is perfect now, and my tag will stick right there in the top where I wanted it to stick. Perfectly fine. Works great. And again, we'll glue this down to a page as a pocket. So there's another quick and easy pocket and quick and easy decoration. All right, moving on to some things that are a little bit more hard. We have a pile that needs lace. And we have a pile of decorations we didn't use. And I need some water, but we're getting there. All right, so let's do I'm going to save this one for last because I really did want to do another project, but let's do this one. Okay. This guy here. You have many options for this envelope, but I have a specific, yep. I have a specific plan for this one. This envelope came in your kit. It's the large window envelope. Okay. First things first is I want to cut my envelope open. I want to leave enough up here for a thumb notch at the top of my envelope. So you can cut yours wherever you want to cut it. You could cut it way up here, but that's going to change the depth of your other pocket. For me, I'm just going to cut it where I've got enough for a thumb notch and I've got a nice border around my window. You don't want to cut it super close to your window. You want to cut it up a little bit. So you could put it in a paper trimmer. You could worry about cutting it perfectly straight, or you could just take scissors and cut it. It doesn't really matter. I mean, ideally it's straight, but if it's a little crooked, then oh well. There we go. We have a pocket here. That's the top, right? We have a pocket. Or set that to the side and we're going to work on this one. So now that it's cut open here, I don't want to do the thumb notch just yet because I want to collage around this and decorate the front of the envelope and inside. So don't do your thumb notch just yet, but you left yourself enough room there. You cut it open. Now what we're going to need to do is cut this side open or peel it open. So if you're looking at your envelope like this, the back side of it and the bottom is going to be where we need to open. So if your envelope will peel open, just like this, I'm just peeling slowly. If it will peel open, then you're good. If it did not peel open, then you could cut it, but you would need to re-glue it. Okay. So if it didn't peel right here at the corner, you could take a little tiny sliver off of this and then it will open. And then when we're done, you would need to seal that back up with some glue. Hopefully it peels open like this one just did. This is what we're looking for here. Right here, we have a couple things to consider. We want to collage around our envelope opening. So around the window, you want to collage the front of the envelope around your window. So we're going to collage all of this. And then the reason why we wanted it open is because we want to add a piece of paper here. It could be collage, it could be scrapping paper, it could be wrapping paper, it could be anything. But we want to put something else here so that we're not looking at this little black security pattern. We don't want to see, I don't want to see that. I want to see something else. So I'm going to put some decorative paper in here. Another reason why I want to do that is because when I seal this up, if you notice when you look through the hole right here, when you look through the cutout, you can see that the paper behind it doesn't go all the way, it doesn't close the whole thing, right? There's this little gap. And so we want a pocket where we can put a big tag down in here. And the only way we're going to be able to put a big tag in there is by putting a bigger piece of paper on this side. We want to put a piece of paper that is this size over here so that we have a big pocket and we have a free hinge. So here's the problem. The problem is the paper doesn't go all the way over to the edge. So we want to cut a piece of paper that is this size, the front size, and glue it in here so that we have a free hinge and a decorative paper inside. Hopefully everybody understands that. So it's probably better for me just to show you. So let's do it. First things first is you could try measuring. You could try measuring the front of your envelope. Let's see if that will work. It is a 4 1/4. It's slightly smaller than 4 1/4 by about 6 1/4 inches. So we're going to use that rough measurement, 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And we can pick whatever paper we want to put in there. Or you could do some collaging. It could be a printout digital. It could be a number of things. Let's see what we have in this pile. It could be book page. It could be music. It could be everything. Okay. So let's take a look and see what we have in our pile. I'm keeping all my little tiny pieces of paper and they're exploding everywhere, making a mess. Okay. I don't want to use the red stripe wrapping paper because we just used it. I could put this green pearly music paper back there. Like maybe that's cute. I mean, it would be easy. I'm going to do Oh Holy Night or Deck the Hall. I think we're going to do that. I'm in an easy mood right now. I need easy projects. So let's do the green music as our back page. So I want something that's 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. But it needs to be slightly smaller than the actual measurement. Okay. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try the Deck the Halls. So I'm going to give myself this as a top edge. And that's not exactly straight, but let's try. Okay, cute little piece. Set that over there. So I just gave myself a straight edge kind of where I wanted it. We know we need to go 6 1/4. Slightly smaller than that is fine. That goes over there. Now we're going to cut this out. And for this one, I need it to be 4 1/4. But I'm trying to cut out a specific panel. I could cut that one or I could cut this one. We're going to cut this one. And I need it to be 4 1/4. Let's try here. Mine's fussier because I'm trying to cut out an exact piece of music. Yours will not be this fussy. And it needs to be slightly smaller than 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. See how we did. We're pretty good. Let's see how it fits in our little envelope. So this needs to be the size of the front. Your paper for the inside needs to be the size of the front minus a little bit. And I can see I'm good on the height, but I'm a little too wide over here. So let's trim that. And let's see how that works. And again, this is wrapping paper from TJ Maxx. So it's going to look like, did I get it right? I didn't quite get it right. I'm going to have to trim off the bottom to center my music in there. So anyway, it's fine. Not really. Dang it. It's not quite fine because I didn't get to center my music. I'm not going to cut another piece. I'm going to make it work. I'm going to make it work. For making it work, when you mess up yours, hopefully you will not mess up yours. I just need some random whitish colored paper. A random book page. A random book page. I'm fussing because I want my music centered. You guys will do you. I'm just going to have to do it again. And So I'm cutting a panel now, and that panel is going to glue to my envelope, and then I will glue my music where I want my music, because I've messed mine up. Okay. So this plain white panel is going to glue right here, right there. Perfect. As long as your envelope folds closed, needs a little more off one side. As long as your envelope will fold closed, you're fine. That might not even be enough. We'll see. Making this way more difficult than it needs to be. Yes, my envelope folds closed, meaning that panel is fine. It's a good solid panel to make a pocket out of. We're good. Thank goodness. So you really should only have one piece of paper, but I'm going to have two. And that is going to allow me to put this panel down to sturdy up my envelope pocket. And then I will be able to slide this one down where I want it to be in the window. Something like that, basically. Okay. Let's glue this one down. And you're going to want to glue the flap side, this side, not this one, but this side. You're going to want to glue that one with a glue stick. And then you're going to stick your paper to it. So you can see where the fold is there. You're going to glue that whole thing up all the way to the fold. And stick your paper in there. This paper is just to make a pocket. And this one, and you need to be able to fold it up. So stick it all the way in the fold line. Your envelope folds closed, you're good. So now that we've done that one, we're going to come back and add this one. And this one I'm going to position exactly where I want it, because no one is ever going to see anything other than what's in the window. And that's actually pretty good. That's pretty good. So right at the bottom of Deck the Hall. My gluey paper is a little too gluey at the moment. So let's do it like this. Basically, you're putting whatever decorative paper you have inside of your window, and I'm making it way too hard. You don't want to get glue over here where I just did, because that will seal up your envelope pocket. Positioning this right inside of there, making sure I'm good, sticking down. Okay, that took an hour, but we've now covered the inside. We've covered the inside of our envelope, just so we have something pretty to look at in the window. This little bit down here that's hanging off, I'm going to leave for now, but once we seal up our envelope, I will trim that off. Okay, so there's that. That's done. Now we need to collage the front of this envelope. Mine is ripply because the glue is wet. Once it dries, it'll be fine. So now we're going to work on collaging this part. This part right here. Okay. I've got some paper bits. I've got some extra glue. I've got some ink. I've got all the things. Let's work on collaging this. I have the little tiny bits of paper that I've been keeping to the side. I have this nice strip of music right here. And music is always nice because, you know, it'll go down right down here on the side. It could go across the top, however you want it to go. We have green music on the inside, so I'm going to avoid it, but it is a nice option. Let's use some of this. Another linear option. And we'll just go right down the side with that. I'm just going to fold mine back up for the moment. I'm going to add glue and I'm going to go right down the side. And I just want a random collage of things. I don't want it all to be the same. You could do it where it's like half one pattern at the bottom and half the other pattern, but it is hard to go around the envelope that way. So let's just glue this on the side. You want to try to avoid getting glue on your window envelope. If you do get glue on it, try to use a baby wipe and wipe that off. This is a fresh glue stick. So of course, it's going to be extra gluey and be fun. But we're going to get it done. And I got to go right up to the edge. All right. Good enough. Just make sure you line it up and it's straight. Just because I have a linear pattern, you'll know if it's crooked. Okay, so that's on there. I don't have any glue on my envelope. Little window. We're good. We need to trim that off. So now we're making a flip out envelope pocket. This one will flip out. It will have decoration on the inside. It will have decoration on the outside. There will be a decorative tag that goes inside. It was easier just for me to cut off the large piece and then come back and trim to the exact size here. I say that, but it's wanting to fight me. Yes, it is. I'm so happy that I did get some crafting time in with you guys over the holiday weekend. All right, so we have a little bubble sticking out right there. Little bubble. Okay, that's pretty good. We got stuff stuck everywhere. Let's clean this. And let's go back and cover the rest. So now, I have a little dry glue. That is annoying me. Now we have that. We're going to work on some book page over through here. Maybe some handwriting would be nice on this one too. Maybe handwriting up in this area. So you can collage right over the envelope window if you would like to. And I think at the bottom, some book page would be nice there. So for that book page, I'm going to need something that's sturdier. Let's use some thicker rag paper. Something German would be nice. German font is always good at Christmas time. I'm hoping I have some German in here. We should have some German book pages somewhere. My favorite German book is over here off to the side. Let's just grab that. It's somewhere over here. This one. So let's use some of this German font. I'll hold that up for you guys too. So German font. I like it. It's larger. It's going to look lovely down there. Let's use that. And actually, let's get a couple of these. Because as we make tags and other things, the German font is my favorite at Christmas time. I see that YouTube has kept all of your names with the @ I think they are going to leave it that way. Unfortunately, they do what they want to do without asking us, right? So I'm just trying to find my favorite section of this. I really like this part right here. Let's use that. And so we're going to cover part of the little window, just this little bottom section here. So the first thing I want to do is tear the section that I want. And it pains me to do it, but I will use this in next Saturday's video. Let's do that down there at the bottom. So I want to tear just a little bit more on that side so I don't get that straight edge. There we go. That one will work. And now I'm going to glue. I could slide it over. It could go up and over, but now I'm covering a bit of my envelope. So I'm going to keep it down here. And we're going to have this just old book page here for now until we collage down that side. We could collage that side first and then put this on. Let's think about that for a second. What do we want on this side? Like, I could do just different pattern. I really like that, but I would like my fleur-de-lis to go straight. Do I or do I not? No, I like them sideways. Okay, well, let's do them sideways then. That will work right down there. I want to straighten up the edge quick. Just because this is a scrap, so we need to straighten it. I say. We're going to have to come up a little bit. Something is not cutting it straight. Let's try that. There we go. Better. This guy we can save for something. Crafting does cheer me up. It's also wearing me out, but it does cheer me up. Let's do this side right here. Right there. There's nothing better than crafting. I mean, spending time with your family. But other than that kind of sentimentality, there's nothing better. No better way to spend your time other than crafting with friends, right? So we're going to add glue here, making sure we don't get it on our window. Most people avoid collaging these little window envelopes like this because it takes so long, really. A lot of people will just cut one piece and stick it on. That's another option if you would like to do it that way. You can just cut out a piece that has the window cut out of it. That's another option. So there's that one. And we'll just trim off the excess. Making sure that you don't cut into your envelope. There's that. And now this right down there. Perfect. And then we just have the top to worry about. Now I'm going to come up here a little bit. And so far I've avoided any wet glue. Oh, we need to glue the envelope or the window. Whoopsie. On this one, we do need to glue the window. And in fact, I should have glued this. But it's all good as long as we glue the edge. Here we go. So placement. Glue there. And we'll make sure that we have glue there, and we do. hopefully that's straight. Mostly. Can move it down just a little. I'm using the text, using that line of text to make sure that I'm mostly straight there. Perfect. Just let that dry for a moment, and then we just have that top section to do. Now for this one, I've got that extra piece there. I'm just going to fold it back on itself to give me a line, and I'm going to cut it. You want to make sure that you're not cutting through anything that you need. Right there. Okay. Good, good. I love it. It looks great so far. So just the top, keeping in mind we'll do a thumb notch there, so we don't want to put anything too decorative at the very top section. You could use a pattern of paper. It's just looking a little crooked there, and it is. Just a tiny little bit. My glue is still wet enough where I can get that fixed there. No one else would care, but you know, I have to do it. I have to do it that way. Anyway, we're good. What do we want for the top of here? We could do more Florentine paper. I think maybe some scripty handwriting would look better though. Let's find some scripty handwriting. I had those old documents over here. I also have some French school book somewhere. Somewhere I do. I always say I do, and then I go to look for it, and it's like little gremlins were in my craft room, and they've stolen it. But somewhere I do have some French school book, and that's a good place to steal some handwriting out of. Well, like every other time I've looked for it, it's not here. So let me just go grab a school book, and we'll rip a page out. If I was a French school book, where would I be? Over here. Let me grab one off the shelf. I don't want purple writing. I want black writing. Well, perhaps they do not have any accessible at the moment. Hold on 2 seconds. Still digging. Still digging for a French school book, which I have a million of, so I don't really know why it's so difficult to find one. They're just not accessible to me at the moment. Is this one by chance? Let's see. I think I found one. Please do not be in purple ink. No, you are not in purple ink. You are in black ink. But it's not one I love. Okay, never mind. We'll use another document. We'll use another document. I have to be super picky about it, right? I wouldn't be me if I wasn't picky about it. So in this pile, we have some original letters, which we could just tear a piece of a letter, but they're in French and they're beautifully written. And I think I would rather tuck these in as ephemera. Tuck these in as ephemera. That's a really nice one. And the kit. Okay. Mind changing happening. Because I can't find what I want. We're going to use the ledger that's over here. I'm just going to put ledger right at the top. It has red lines. It's okay. It kind of goes, it's all right. And I won't do it straight like that. I just, my brain can't do straight across the top. I just can't do it. So we're going to tear it and do just a little bit of a torn angle coming down on that side. So let's pick out which piece we want. Let's do this one right here. And I've just cut a big section to play with as far as tearing goes. I want to make sure that I get this little numbery bit on there. So that's where we're starting. I'm taking a tiny bit off, and then I'm going to come up pretty rapidly, saving that, putting that right there. Love it. Let's glue it. Again, I'm going to glue here, and I'm going to glue the torn edge. I don't really know how far over that goes, but let's glue it anyway. And glue the torn edge here. And then placing it on. I want it up as high as we can, but still having to cover that top section and keeping it straight. And there we go. Kind of, sort of. Needs to come down and over. There we go. That's better. All of that to collage the front of an envelope. Again, you could just cut a panel and that would work too. I also like the fact that we put the ledger at the top because the ledger paper is thicker. It's very thick ledger. And that's also going to be nice for pulling that tag in and out. It sturdies up that top opening where it's most fragile. Okay, so this is our collaged bit. A tag will go down there. It will have a focal point on it. It will be beautiful. Let's go ahead and do the thumb notch. Let's wait for that to dry just a minute. And then we'll do the thumb notch and we'll ink it. Now this is going to be on the edge of a page. So here's my little journal page. For this one, it would be on the edge of a page like this. Okay. I'll scoot it up a little bit. It will flip out. Journaling paper could go back here if you wanted, or you could do a decorative paper in a pocket. You could do whatever you want. We're going to seal this up. We're going to seal up the side where the flap is. So you're going to seal here and here, leaving the flap as a flap so that you can make that a pocket. I'm going to do that after I thumb hole notch though. So just 1 second, but it's going to be a flip out like that. And you'll have a tag in it. And I'm sorry about the glare, but it's going to be beautiful in there. We'll ink around it. We'll do a little more decorating down here probably. You could do like a postage stamp up here and a little sentiment or label or something of Tim's, like, you know, a little piece down there. You could do something like that. Let's let that dry a little bit. I just don't want to thumb hole notch it when it's super wet with glue. For the back, do you guys want to do coffee dyed paper for writing space? I think so. I think we'll do coffee dyed paper for writing space. So I'll be adding more glue to this side and doing a sheet of coffee dyed paper. Let's do that quick while the other side is drying for us to thumb hole punch it. Then at least this little pocket will be done and we can glue it in. And it doesn't have to be coffee dyed paper either. It could be a decorative paper that someone could journal on. Like I've got this one laying here. We could do this one on the back there. This is light enough where someone could still journal and it's decorative. If they decided to come in and put a little pocket, they could also do that. It's an option, or we just do coffee dyed paper. I'm going to do coffee dyed paper, but but it's an option. Let's see. We do have this. I just totally lied to you all. That's a collage sheet though. But we could do something like that where it's got a little pattern to it. They could still journal on it. I mean, either or. I'm going to save it because I want this side. And actually, I probably want that entire sheet for another project because it's double side printed and it has writing space in the back. Somewhere in my pile, I do have coffee dyed paper. That's what I'm looking for. Right there. Coffee dyed paper. Okay. I did it. So many of you have moved on with your day. I appreciate the ones who have stayed here throughout my messy crafting session. I said we did easy first for a reason. So let's fold this guy all up. We can't do that. We'll glue that front side. We just need to be careful not to get glue where we don't want it. But we're going to glue this entire one and get it right up there. You're going to want to leave a space so that this guy folds nice. Don't put your paper completely up against your other decorative part. And we can't leave air bubbles. Okay. Then coffee dyed paper for writing, for journaling. The point of this, I'm going to try to line this up where I have the least amount of trimming possible. Sorry if you just saw the top of my head. At least I did comb my hair this morning. It's better improvement over yesterday. I spent the day in bed yesterday, so that's my excuse. So now we're just trimming right to the edge. And this is our little flip out with journaling space behind. So there's our journaling space. This is our hinge. We will decorate that with something specific here in just a minute. And let's thumb hole punch this and get this inked. So I'm going to do a thumb hole at the top of mine. You don't have to do a thumb hole, but I do think it makes getting a tag in and out easier. Nothing's worse than doing all that work and then having a off-centered little thumb notch. That's great. I love it. We're going to ink now. You're with me. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So I'm going to ink pretty heavily where I've got that thumb notch showing through. Just right there. Unfortunately, my paper did not come up all the way, but we already talked about that. Doesn't matter. It's fine. And now we're going to ink the top. We're still going to glue all of this stuff in, and I need to add lace to a bunch of things. But we did pretty good. We have one more project over there that still needs completed. One more project that still needs completed. All right, pretty happy with that. You could have inked your little pieces in the center. I don't think we have to, so I think we're good. On the back side, I will ink this coffee dyed journaling space just to kind of blend that in. I don't know if you guys ink the backs of your tags when you put coffee dyed paper on them or if you leave them plain. I try to ink the backs of everything for my ephemera. I try not to leave anything where it has that just plain manila or you know, like the manila tag back. I try not to just leave it plain. I do like to add at least a little bit of inking there. So that's drying. We will let that dry, keeping it flat. Everything is inked except for the hinge. The reason why I didn't do the hinge is because I want to change that and add something else over there. So let's go back to this and let's seal it closed as a pocket now. And so again, you want to add glue. You don't need to add glue here because it's a hinge, right? You don't need to add glue there. No, you do not. But we do need to add glue here. And across the bottom, we want to seal back up that little envelope part. You could have sealed that and then added coffee dyed paper. I'm just going to seal it where I add glue here, and it's actually going to act as a little gusset, which will be better. So let's glue that. So don't add glue in the fold. Do add glue down this side as close to that hinge as possible. And we don't need the full length of that. That's fine. And then I'm going to add glue here on my little part that we tore down. And that will make it a little hinge. A little gusset. Oop. Didn't quite get that. No, I did not. Redo. Add glue on the edge of this. On the edge of this. Oh my gosh. I worried about crafting sick. Add glue on the edge of that because it is slightly smaller than this. If you added glue where I just did, just give it a minute to set up. Then close and we're good. Perfectly fine. All closed up. It came out super cute. We're not done. We need to decorate the front a little bit too. I know we did decorate it, but we need to do a little bit more. Okay, so a tag will fit down in here now. Okay, a tag. Probably this tag in all actuality. It fits in there pretty nicely. Anyway, let that dry for a moment. We're going to do something with this hinge, and I'm going to add a little decoration down here. You could add like a little lacy cluster. That would look really nice right here. A little lacy, actual fabric lace. That would look nice. Perhaps I will leave it. But worst case scenario is you're just going to take a piece of Tim Holtz stuff and put it there. Maybe not that exact piece, but he has a million pieces of things. You could add one of the poinsettias from mine or his down there, and that would look really cute. So maybe we'll leave that till I get it on the page in the journal so that I can make sure that that matches whatever it needs to match. And this hinge. When we put this on a page, so remember the hinge is over here on the left side. So you can't put it, if this was a page, if this was a page in your journal, you can put it here, but it will flap in, right? And so wherever this hinge is, I don't want to just see this envelope shape. I want to see something else, something that's useful. This is going to be glued down completely flat to that page. But that does not mean that A, we have to look at this ugly envelope flap, and B, it doesn't mean that we can't make a tuck or something else here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out the Tim Holtz little collage Christmas strips, and we're going to put one of those on there as a tuck when we glue it in our journal. And it's kind of like cheating because these are already all collaged and cute and wonderful. But even this one that's right on the top. Oh my gosh. There's so many beautiful ones. So you're going to glue it down. You're going to glue this completely down. You don't need to ink it or anything because you're never going to see it. You're going to glue this completely down to whatever page that you want this flip out to be on, right? And it could be on this one too. It doesn't matter. If it's on this one, no big deal. But wherever you're gluing it, glue it down. And then take one of these and you're going to cut it to whatever size you want it to be. I don't want it to be the whole page. So cut it to size, and then you can do a little thumb notch here if you want on the center, but you're going to just glue this on the side edge and the bottom if you want to, if you're placing it all the way to the bottom of your page. If you're not, then you're just going to glue it to just the side here. And that's going to make a little tuck where you're going to be able to tuck in a piece of ephemera in there. And you can just make a little tuck and it covers this ugly envelope thingy. Because we made this as a flip out. You could fold it backwards like this, and you could have done something different here and had it flip out like this. To flip forward, you could have done that where it would flip open and be a window, but I don't think that looks as good as this. So we're going to do it here. We're going to cover up that with like a piece of Tim Holtz strip or a piece of Christmas cardstock or a piece of, you know, maybe you have an offcut of a masterboard and you put that there as a tuck, but it's just meant as a tuck on that side. Okay. I'm going to wait to do that when it's in the journal, but I've just told you what I'm doing because I want to see what page it's going to be on to choose whatever strip. I really like the colors of this one. What I don't like are necessarily these three men, but you know, whatever. So let's leave that out because when we put it in the journal, we'll do that. Let's deal with this guy. He's pretty much done except for he needs his tag. We'll do final decoration and we'll put a Tim Holtz strip or something similar. Collage masterboard offcut is perfect alternative to the Tim Holtz collage strips. So let's put that in the done pile for now. The offcut of the envelope. Offcut of envelope is here. So you have this little piece that was cut off the top of our envelope. This is just going to be turned around. It's going to be closed up and it's going to be a little pocket. You can thumb hole notch that. We're going to cover this and decorate this. So I'm doing great. Okay. So here's our envelope again for those of you that will rewatch later and fast forward. We cut off this bit of an envelope. We made this as our flip out, right? And now we're going to decorate this as an envelope pocket. First things first is you want to seal it. We don't want, you could have this as a little flip. And there are many videos out there. And in fact, I don't know if I've done one or not, where you'll add this. You can't add it that way. You'd have to add it. You'd have to add it in the front. Where this could have been a little flip out pocket here. You could have continued with that. I don't want to do that. I want to see this just as it is. There's many videos where you can add this guy as another little flip. For us, we're just sealing him up and we're making him a little pocket. Super simple. So I want to collage it right here in the front, and then I'll do the thumb notch. I could just cover it with German book page. It's a little too small for it. We haven't used, and I just left this glue open, so that would be fun later. Let's try sealing this quick and getting the glue out. Whoopsie. You do that one time and it's like, oh, you're done. Okay. Hopefully that will make it through. Let's cover this with Ledger. This says February 1878. See how I always keep like the torn ones, damaged ones for myself. It's just, I think it's more fun that way too. I mean, we could just do simple collage and do that and some German. Let's do that. Let's do this and some German. So I'm going to seal it. Remember, when you're sealing this guy, you can't put glue on the whole thing. You can only put glue right here where there is already glue. Anytime you're making an envelope pocket, don't glue the whole flap. Only glue where there's already glue, or else you'll close up your little envelope pocket. So I'm only adding glue right where that strip is, more or less. Closing it up. Now we'll collage this guy on here. And I'm just going to let that be across the top because it's going to strengthen right there anyway. So I'm just going to let that be. We're going to glue our pocket and we're going to stick it down. This guy is a little bit too wide to be a pocket on the 4x8 tag. But he also can be added as a pocket onto another piece of ephemera. It does not have to be just a standalone pocket. It is cute to add to other pieces. But he's about 4 1/4. Otherwise, I would be sticking him on as a pocket on the big 4x8 tags that are in the kit. So then cut off the excess and we'll come back and we'll do the German book page on the other part of the pocket. There's that. And then we'll just do, here's the other piece of the one I've already used. I would like that title right there. Just doing a little bit more rough torn edge on the side there. Good afternoon for all those people who just joined us. Yeah, I think we're just going to do it like this. We're going to do thumb notch. I can try tearing up this little side right here to give it more of a angle. But honestly, something just like this is all I need. So let's do it. Remember all those little bits I have saved. This glue stick is super gluey. Let's see if we've got glue everywhere. Good enough. She says. Good enough. All right. You know how like after you've been crafting for a while, you're just done with the glue sticky fingers? Like you're just done. I'm getting to that limit where I'm just done of gluey sticky fingers and I definitely need to find a baby wipe. I think the pack that was in this room ran out and now I just need to go get another pack. We might be doing that in the near future because I'm done with sticky fingers and sticky desk. Okay, so now we have our background down. It's a little crooked, but I think that's trimming right here. So we're going to continue with it. There's our little pocket. Cute. Love it. I think I am a little crooked. You have to be careful moving rag paper because if you move rag paper, you will get wrinkles if you're not careful. So I think we can straighten him out a little. Now let's pick out something cute to put on here. And it can be something very simple. It can be something, you know, a little more detailed. We haven't really used any of these yet today. And we do have that red ledger, which I pretty much covered up the entire thing. Didn't really care about it. We were just covering the pocket. We've got that one. We've got this one and maybe a little piece of Tim Holtz ephemera. Or maybe big ones. We're going to use those somewhere, somehow we're going to use them. So let's cut these out. Let's use these. Simple little pocket, she says, an hour later. Snowstorm. Oh my gosh. Snowstorms. Yeah, definitely not having any of those here. Although it has been colder here. Here. Colder than it normally is. Sorry guys, the internet's doing what the internet's doing. Has a mind of its own. So whenever we're fussy cutting poinsettias, we can't ever get, I mean, you could if you really spent like an hour with an X-Acto knife, but we can't ever get exact, right? We're not going to cut in between all the leaves. We're just going to cut the outline of everything. And I left a white border around it all because you're going to have white in the center. And so basically you could try to cut out that big part, but nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to take an hour on a simple little half envelope pocket. So it's okay. You don't need to restart. It will restart itself here in just a few minutes for you guys. It's already restarted on my side. If you guys give it a minute, it will probably fix itself. Yeah. It just went in and out for just a little bit there. I just fussy cut that and we're just going to blend away some of the white now. It doesn't blend it all the way, obviously, but it helps. Blend it in with our creamy book page back there. And I'm just going to put that on and then one of the Tim Holtz things that's sitting over here. She says one, but anything will work. So what about this little word that says cheer? We haven't used any of those yet. Cheer? I don't know, it blends in an awful lot. We need something a little bit different. Greetings. We like that better. We. Okay. Moving on. Getting this done. Let's get these on there. We'll thumb hole notch it at the end here. Yeah, it froze here on, well, it didn't freeze. It black screened and refreshed here on my side. Sometimes it does it and I lose, you guys. It depends on how long it's out for. But it seems to be holding for right now. We just covered up that whole lovely title that I was trying to keep. But, you know, we've got to do what we've got to do. The winter is very painful for me, but I do enjoy it more than the summer because here it's like 110 or 20 degrees. So let's do this one right across the bottom. I knew I was going to use this at some point today. It was just on the top of the pile and it was destined to be used. So the next thing I want to do is straighten out the top of my little pocket just because I hand cut it with scissors and it's not exact. So I'm going to straighten that out. Then I'm going to thumb hole punch it, ink it. We focused a lot on pockets and it's because I want to get them glued into my journal. Just wanted a fresh straight edge there. And then I'm gonna open it up, put my punch in there. I know I don't want to go super deep with my thumb hole notching because we have some decorative elements there. Just a little one. If it's a pocket, I try to do a thumb notch. I just like the fact that it shows, because I sell my journals, it shows the people what is a pocket and what is not a pocket. So I think it kind of helps for people who sell their journals. Have you ever seen a journal flip through and somebody thinks something is a pocket, or you think it comes out of a pocket and they pull on it and it wasn't meant to come out and it tears? That's kind of like my worst fear. So I try my hardest to designate what is a pocket so that people know what comes out of the pocket and what doesn't, just so, you know, things don't get destroyed in the journal after you make them. So there's the other half of the little envelope. Out of one envelope, we got, I cannot pick it up. We got this guy and that guy. And so he's a little flip out journaling space pocket. And here's the other half of the envelope that used to be up here. So that's that. And then this will just get glued to a page. It's a nice little size too. Sometimes you don't want something super big. So just a nice little pocket to put a tag in. So anytime you want to envelopes work nicely. Okay, let's see what we need to do as far as the rest of this goes. The only thing that I saved was these, and I really would like to do this in a separate video. There is a project that I have saved these for, and I would like to do this in a separate video, just because it's going to take a little while, and I don't feel up to it today, but I would like to do this still. So these are the only other pieces that came in your kit that we haven't used so far. As far as pocket making goes. Let's set those off to the side. Let's recap what we made and where we're at and see if we can stick some things in a journal. You guys might not want to sit here while I figure out what goes where, but in this video, we made this bag. Again, you put a large tag down inside of here. This goes on a page. So pretend that this was an ugly page. It's not an ugly page, but pretend it was an ugly page. It's going to go on that page like that. And then you'll put, you know, a big journal card, a big tag, whatever, down inside of it. I would like lace at the bottom of it, but that's that guy that we made. Okay, so that's one piece that we made today. Other pieces that we made today are this guy. This guy is a coin envelope. This tag is the tag that goes in him. And he goes on the edge of a page like this so that you have a pocket here and you have a pocket back there. Okay, so he's a tuck pocket. You're only gluing on one side and the bottom. You could put him on the other way and glue on the other side. So you'd glue here and here, but glue one side and the bottom. Either way you use him. So that's another one that we made today. Then we made this guy. This girl, I should say. And she's going to go right like that on the edge of a page. This is not the tag for her. This is the tag for her. And we made it where it goes like that. It stops, goes in. Again, you could have this on as a tuck back there too. So you could fit something behind if you only glued on two sides. And she definitely is getting lace across the bottom of her. So there's that one. Then we made some simple pockets, and this is not the page for these, but these can go right at the bottom of a page. And these were the ones that were included in your kit. I might need to do a little trimming to be happy with these, just to trim off a little bit of the edge, because they are almost too big, but we do have some larger pages in our journal too. So anyway, some quick and easy pockets here. We did those. These were just the journal card portion of that. So any of these journal cards could tuck behind something else. Again, this is not really the page to show you all of that, but there's those. And then we made this collaged envelope flip out. We put a piece of decorative paper back there so that when you put a tag down in the inside of it, it's fine. It just needs a little opening. There we go. So tag goes down inside, has something decorative on it. When the tag is out of the pocket, it's still pretty to look at. This hinges onto the edge of a page and flips out for additional journaling space. So, and we're going to put a Tim Holtz strip on the edge of it so that when it's on the page, it has a little tuck right here where you're going to be able to glue this completely down. Then you're going to glue this only on the edge or the edge in the bottom, depending on where you place it. And then it'll be a tuck and you'll just tuck something in there. And that's just to cover up this ugly flap of an envelope. So we made that. This is the pocket we just made, which is the other half of that envelope. So in today for journal making, this is what we ended up with. It's not bad. It's a good start to ephemera making. If you had not done any of the 365 videos or whatever, this is a good start. If you haven't made a master board, I would recommend that you make a master board so that you can make the rest of this ephemera, because there's quite a bit more. Sorry for my reaching in front of the camera, but there is a bucket of ephemera right there that I needed to reach. So all of the rest of this ephemera is 365 videos that you can watch and master boards that are yet to be decorated. So anytime that we need a tag, I have master board pieces that could be used as a tag. They need decorated, but at least the master board bases are there. So journaling cards, pockets, whatever out of that. We talked about all of this stuff in the beginning of the video, but a lot of this stuff will go right down into, like, you know, you could just take this big Santa and put him in that big bag pocket. So just keep that in mind. I have a lot of ephemera made. The next step for me and the next step for all of you, if you are at this stage, is to grab your journal. I don't know where to put my pile of ephemera, but grab your journal and start placing your ephemera in your journal. My recommendation, you do you, but don't just find a page and say, okay, I want this pocket here and glue it down. My recommendation is you place all of your ephemera where you want it just by laying it in there until you have all of it in your journal. Don't glue anything down until you have everything where you want it, because sometimes you might need to move something. You might go, oh, well, I don't have a place for that, so I need to move this one that I was going to put here, and I need to put that over here or whatever, right? So don't glue it down until you have it all placed in your journal. And the secret formula for placing ephemera in a journal is as follows. If you do not have a pocket on your front and back cover, you can put a pocket there. If you notice, I talked about in the first video putting this lace in as pockets. In my other two journals, I did put this lace. In two of the journals, I put the lace in as a pocket. And I did that just by sewing around. When I sewed around my cover, I had this lace laying there and I just sewed it right in. So now I have pockets here. But if you don't have pockets there, this was the journal that we made together on camera. If you don't have a pocket here, you might consider putting a pocket here. I wouldn't here because I'd cover up my poinsettia, but in the back, there's definitely place for a pocket. So front cover and back cover pockets are optional. In the formula that I'm giving you, it does not take into account front and back cover pockets. That's optional. Do it if you want. If you have lace ones or whatever, you don't need to do it. Doesn't matter. But the formula goes like this. You find your center page. So right here where your signature is sewn in, this is your center page. So you want to say this is the first half of your journal. This is the second half of your journal. In the first half of your journal, you want to put 6 pockets. 6 pockets means 6 tucks, 6 pockets, 6, anything that you're going to stick ephemera inside of is a pocket. It's counted as a pocket. So you need to find 6 places in here that you're going to add in a pocket. That does not count things that are already sewn into the signature. Like this right here is an envelope that we sewed into our signature. That doesn't count as one of the 6. That means 6 pieces of ephemera that you handmade that you're going to glue into the front half of your journal. And I like to space them as evenly as I can. I don't ever put a pocket next to, so if I put a pocket here, I wouldn't, because I'd cover her. But if I put a pocket here, I would never put a pocket here unless I had no other option. I don't like to put back-to-back pockets on one page because it's a lot of weight and it's stress getting them in and out, whatever. I don't like to put pockets back to back. If I put a pocket, it's only on one side of the paper. And I like to find places in my journal. Like I never put a pocket here in the front. I feel like that should be a decorative page. And then if you're going to put a pocket, it should be in here. I don't ever put a pocket next to a paper doily because the paper doily rubbing up against whatever is over there, it can damage the paper doily. So I don't like to put a pocket here. Again, unless I have no other choice, but I try to avoid it. I don't put pockets on my coffee dyed paper because I want to leave those as writing space. So for me, I would be looking for a place like this where we could add a pocket down here at the bottom and you would still see the decoration. I would add a pocket here because you're not covering up anything. There's place here where you could add a pocket and still see the decoration. You don't have a pocket here. I also don't do pockets on facing pages. So if I put a pocket here, there is already a pocket here. I don't do that. There's only one pocket per spread, right? So here I have a bag. I would put a pocket here. This page needs a pocket. It's very plain. I would put a pocket here. I don't care that there's a bag here because what's in it is going in over here and this is a pocket, stuff's going there. I think it's okay. So you could put a pocket on a page like this if you wanted to. The pages need to be sturdy enough for pockets. You could put a pocket across the bottom here if you want. I think there's still enough writing space. That would be okay. This is a thinner rag paper page. I wouldn't put a pocket here because it's too thin to hold it, right? So this is a pretty plain page. I could put a pocket there. And when I say here, it really could be here. It could be a tuck. It could be any kind of pocket, right? It just means that this page looks plain enough where we could add a pocket and it would be fine. This is definitely a plainer page where you could come in and you could add a pocket there. And this is a tuck, perfectly fine. Still see the pattern behind it. It's fine. So anywhere that you want to put a pocket, like I would never put a pocket covering up something that I wanted to see, right? Here we have space for a pocket if you wanted. It could be a top tuck. It could be a corner tuck where you're tucking something up there, but some kind of pockety element, right? Here again, it could go across the top. It could go across the side edge. It could go across the bottom. But so 6 in the front. Okay, we've all got that. You're going to look for pages that are more plain, like this, where you can add a pocket, but still see the paper behind it. I try not to add it where you're going to cover up something beautiful. So there's that. There's 6 in the front. Again, you can put it here because you can still see this up here at the top. So 6 in the front half. You need to do the same thing, 6 in the back half. Usually, if you add it, every other page, every other printed digital, it will equal out to roughly be 6. You'll need to kind of space them so that they're even. You don't want to use, when gluing in your ephemera, don't put all your best favorite pieces of ephemera in the front half. Space them out to where you have some pretty things in the back half too. Nothing is worse than buying a journal and having all the pretty things up here and all the, oh, well, I just slapped this pocket in back here. So don't do that. Try to make sure that you're putting, some of the pretty more frilly fancy things in the back as well. So 6 in the front, 6 in the back. That equals 12 pockets in your signature only. I'm not including front and back pockets if you have them. If you don't do them, that's fine too. Nothing says you have to. But try to find sturdy pages. Try to not cover up writing space where people would like to journal, that kind of thing. So there's the secret formula. In a single signature journal, should have about 15 of the 8.5 by 11 thicker paper pages. You should have about 15, and you should have about 12 pockets total, 6 in the front, 6 in the back. If you don't have exactly that, it's no big deal. If you have less than that, it's okay, totally fine. If you have more than 12, you're going to have a gator mouth journal, and you're going to be making a journal for years instead of months. 12 is really kind of the magical number. I think if you do 4 and 4 for 8 total, it's a little lacking on decoration, in my opinion. But if you do like 8 and 8, it's too much. Your journal gets too gator mouth, because you have to remember 6 pockets in the front half filled with ephemera. It's a lot. 6 pockets plus 6 handmade tags or journal cards is 12 handmade original pieces in the front and in the back. And a lot of times we put more than one thing in a pocket. So it's a lot of ephemera to make, and you need to be able to make it, quick enough to where if you're selling journals, it's not taking you years to make a journal, because you're never going to recoup that money, right? That time. You can't pay yourself 2 cents an hour. It doesn't work that way when you're selling journals. So anyway, anybody have questions? I do add fabric flips sometimes. I don't do a lot of fabric flips because usually I do highly decorated journals for the most part. There's exceptions to that. But for the most part, I do highly decorated journals, and the journals become very full, and I don't want them to be too gator mouthy. Fabric flips. So adding fabric, it needs to match the theme. Not only color, but it needs to match the theme. And if I'm doing a very, old world style journal, I need to use fabric that's going to match that. So sometimes finding the right fabric is hard when you're doing vintage and antique journals. Also, the fabric, when you're gluing, like most of us will do a fabric flip where we have a long piece of fabric and we decorate across the top. I like the fact that you're adding the fabric up here and it's a little bulkier up here. I like that. But the fabric flip itself has to work into the journal. So I'm not opposed to doing them. I have done them many times, but generally I have enough decorated ephemera that the journal is already full enough and bulky enough without it. Also, finding the right style and time period looking fabric can be a challenge. So there's my 2 cents on that. Any other questions? So you put lace on after you put in the ephemera? Usually I do. Occasionally I will take a pocket and I will add the lace ahead of time. But as a general rule, I'll put the pocket in and glue it. And then at the end, after I have all of my pockets in, I will come in and add lace. And I like to do it that way because if I do it ahead of time, I might end up with more lace sticking out of the bottom in the first half and basically nothing in the second half. So when I add lace, because lace is in the next video, but I'll tell you guys right now, I want 3 pieces of lace sticking out the bottom in the front half of my signature and 3 pieces of lace sticking out the bottom in the back half of my signature. I also want 3 pieces of lace sticking out the front half side edge, this side edge, 3 pieces in the front and 3 pieces in the back. Now, if I put a pocket in, say I put a pocket in and I have lace dangling out the bottom, that counts as one of my 3. So if I put the lace on ahead of time, that means I might have more lace in the front than the back. I don't like to make it uneven. So I need to put the pocket in first in most cases. Now, in this one right here, I know I'm putting white lace across the bottom. And if that just dangles out a little tiny bit, then I'm okay with that. But I do like to balance the lace in the signature as well, just because if you don't, you might have 5 pockets with lace here and 2 here, and it just doesn't look the same. So long answer to that. Anybody else questions before we wrap up? And you should, by the next video, which is next Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern time, next Saturday at 11, you should have all of your ephemera in your journal. You should have it all made, and you should have it all in your journal, glued in your journal. So when we start next week's video, we're just going to be embellishing. We're going to decorate the front cover, and we're going to go through page by page of our journal with all of our ephemera in and do the final decorating. We'll do the front cover. We'll do lace on the page edges, lace on the bottoms, if I have not already done it, and just show you, because it takes time and I don't want to eat up all of our time gluing lace in. But I've already told you how I do it. So I'll tell you again next week as I show you, more than likely. But anyway, lace, decorating the front cover, lace on page edges. We will do collage, stamping, any other embellishing, clusters, all in the next one, as far as like some hardware, some bead dangles, rusty safety pins in little clusters, whatever we do to decorate pages, and embellish that journal, kind of just finish it off. Closure will be in the next video, so we'll add a closure to these journals. I have one journal that needs book corners put on it, so I'll quickly cover book corners if you wanted to add those. Book corners, you can get Tim Holtz ones or ones from Amazon, and they glue and crimped to the corners of your book edges, just in case you wanted to do that. Thank you guys very much for joining me today and putting up with I don't know what my voice sounds like, but I can only imagine it sounds nasally. Right there was an example of that. Thank you very much. I need to get off of here before I'm completely hoarse. I'm only half hoarse right now. So, but thank you very much for joining. I hope you all had a fabulous holiday, or spent some time doing something you love if you didn't celebrate the holiday. And I will see you guys again soon. As far as the Christmas super sale, I really need to feel better by Monday, and that's all I'm going to say about it, because I don't know how I feel yet. So it was planned for Monday. I would really like to still do it on Monday. However, if I still feel as tired as I do now, I don't think that we can do live sales until I feel a little bit better, only because live sales take an enormous amount of work to make happen. So let's play it by ear for Monday. If I pop on and have the video up, you guys will see it too. And if not, then I will be here on Tuesday to either talk to you or start the Christmas super sale, one or the other. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. And I will get caught up on all your messages. I know many of you have asked me about things and are waiting, and many of you are waiting for me to approve posts in Facebook. So I will get both of those done here in the near future. Thank you guys very, very much. I'll see you guys again soon. Have a good rest of your weekend, guys. Bye. Bye, guys.